We're halfway through the Xfinity season.
13 down, 13 to go.
It's time to tighten those belts and start looking ahead to the postseason.
And the young guns are closing in on the vets.
We talked about inexperience. This looked like veteran experience. The youngsters racing here.
How about that?
But a dark horse has entered the arena this week.
Check out Christopher Bell.
Could any of them be worthy of victory towards the ultimate goal?
Oh, trouble.
Well, that was exciting.
I love it.
Let's find out under the lights. Now on race day.
There are certain tracks you just love to visit. You can certainly put Iowa Speedway in that category. NASCAR Xfinity Series getting ready to begin the second half of the regular season in 2017, just off Interstate 80. We're 30 miles east of Des Moines, Iowa. And what a gorgeous evening it is. Low temperature tonight, actually going to go down in the low 50s. It is going to get cool for those up on the spotter stand tonight. We look at the standings, and these are the playoff standings as we get set for the second half of the regular season. And the guys you really have to note, and actually it's the regular season standings, but the guys up front here are the ones that have locked themselves in to the playoffs, Justin Allgaier and Ryan Reed.
Yeah, those two guys already have the wins. You see Elliott Sadler very comfortably there in third, 248 points ahead of the cutoff.
Yeah, and what we have to think about tonight is there's some playoff points that these guys can go out and get without any Cup Series drivers here. That's going to be a big deal when we get to the end of the season. They want those points tonight.
This is the land of opportunity. And when you look at playoff points and how they have been distributed in 2017, only 6 series regulars have actually collected playoff points in the first 13 races.
Yeah, and another series regular that hasn't collected any could go out and win tonight, put themselves in a situation where they're almost at the top of the playoff points and they have a win. So that's why this race is so important for these guys, and they're going to put so much pressure on themselves tonight when they get out there.
You get a win, you lock yourself into the playoffs, and that chance is on the line here tonight.
Yeah, I love that. And we talked earlier about a lot of interlopers that could try to take maybe that possibility away, but you got to watch out for the regulars too.
Just about time to go green. First, let's go trackside and get the command of fire engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Boiler Operator for Green Plains from Fairmont, Minnesota, Jeff Olson, and CEO of Growth Energy, Emily Score, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
To do battle on the short track at Iowa Speedway. 10 winners in the first 13 races in 2017. We might get another tonight. Just about time to go green here at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You will see the starting lineup for tonight's race top of your screen. A couple of rookies on the front row, Christopher Bell and Kyle Benjamin. And starting third is Sam Hornish Jr. Let's go from the driver's seat with Sam now. Last time he raced last September at Kentucky, Phil.
Hey, Sam Hornish up in the Fox booth here. You got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
Sam, it's been since September since you've been in the race car, and as soon as you got in that thing and unloaded and got on the racetrack, you were fast. Has the thing changed much since you were here last?
You know, the track is almost exactly the same bumps, same nuances, but the biggest thing that's changed here is just the downforce level of the cars. That was the thing that I had the most concern with, is not being able to be in these cars, not to run the stages either. So there's a few things that have changed just in the racing that are going to be a little bit different for me, but Greg Irwin and everybody here on the Discount Tire board have just done a great job. Great to be back with Team Penske, and thankful to have the opportunity and have my family out here. Looking forward to hopefully a great run tonight.
Well, Sam, you talk about Greg Irwin. You had a lot of success in the past with him as a crew chief. Has that helped you to adapt to this rule change and get ready for this race this weekend a little bit quicker?
The hard part's yet to come. You know, getting back in the car, that was the fun part. You know, trying to figure out what the car wanted as far as how free it needs to be to keep the front tires on it, things like that. Those are what we're going to learn throughout this race here and how to play the stages in the right way for me, and just keeping up on the racetrack. It has been a little while since I've been in the car, but we'll just try to take our time and make the move when we need to.
Well, we know you're a veteran of this series and have a lot of experience. I'm sure the hard part's going to come easy in a little while for you. We look forward to watching that. Thanks for letting us hop on the car with you for a minute.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all the fans out there watching, everybody that supports this series.
Sam Hornish Jr. qualifying third, going for his third Iowa win, would become the third driver to fit into that category. Let's hear from our pit reporters and start with Vince Welsh. Hey, Vince.
Well, Adam, last week, 19-year-old William Byron finished second to Cup star Denny Hamlin at Michigan by just 12 1/1000ths of a second. And while Byron was certainly disappointed he didn't get his first win, he said his biggest takeaway was one of confidence. Confidence that his cars could compete with the best and that he as a driver could compete with the best as well. He said tonight they have a similar belief that they can win this one and finish tonight where they didn't finish a week ago. And that's victory lane. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, we've been talking about the pole sitter, Christopher Bell. He's got a new face on top of the box with him this week as crew chief with Jacob Cantor, as Chris Gabehart is serving one of a 2-race suspension. Talked with Jacob earlier today. He was a former engineer on the 20 Cup car, also now the R&D manager at the Cup shop at Joe Gibbs Racing. He's got some assistants, as you can see there. Rudy Fugel, the Truck Series crew chief for Christopher Bell, is going to be helping him out on top of the box all throughout this race. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, anytime a new face hits the NASCAR Xfinity Series, we always like to know, what do the fans think? But to me, it's always more important to know, what do the peers think about a new face? Well, I can tell you the respect level is very high for Ty Majeski. He's the top-rated iRacer in the world. He's also very, very popular on the Asphalt Super Late Model Tour. Well, tonight, he'll make his Xfinity Series debut for Roush Fenway Racing, and we'll watch him do it tonight from the 10th starting position. Adam?
And that 60 car, Hermie, 94 wins all time for the Roush Fenway organization. Let's look at those onboard cameras, Phil.
Yeah, we're going to run along in the Sunoco onboard. The DC Solar onboard, Brendan Poole. Brendan's in the top 10 in points, and he will start this race from the 8th spot.
We've also got a camera with William Byron. He's starting in 6th position with the Chevrolet onboard camera. Almost won last week. Can he get it done with the camera in the car this week?
How about Elliott Sadler? That is a Sunoco onboard. That's the one main financial Chevy. Elliott will start from the 4th. Was supposed to start from the 4th spot. Has to go to the rear, starting 38th in this field.
And finally, starting in 3rd, we've got the 22 car of Sam Hornish Jr. with the Ford Performance onboard. He was quick through practice. He's got 2 wins here before. Going to be interesting to see after a little bit of a layoff if he can get that 3rd win tonight.
Last time a Ford won here, Ryan Blaney, 2015, driving that 22 car. And you mentioned Elliott Sadler, qualified Ford, drops to the rear. So does Cole Custer, had a tire issue in qualifying. And speaking of Fords, the Roush Fenway organization has been great here. Looking at the Ford facts, the 60 cars, we said 94 wins all time. 3 drivers won championships. One of those, Chris Buescher, who got the victory spring race at Iowa 2 seasons ago and went on to win the championship. It's going to be a fun night. 250 laps for the Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway. A couple of kids on the front row. Green flag going to go in the air, and we're going to have some fun.
Green, 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 green.
Didn't take us long to get 3 wide here, did it, Adam?
Great racing off of turn 2. There you see Matt Tiff, Justin Allgaier, and Ty Majeski good in that outside lane in the 60.
Yeah, definitely a big wiggle for the 19 getting into turn 3 there. Also, he had to make a big save.
Christopher Bell, the pole sitter, took the outside lane, quickly jumped out front, but not getting away from Kyle Benjamin in 2nd. William Byron up to 3rd after qualifying 6th earlier this evening.
But big move by Majeski, though. Started in the 10th spot, already up to the 5th spot.
A theme all weekend long is looking at the rookies running inside the top 10. We saw it in practice, saw it in qualifying. It's happening in the race. And see Brennan Poole there, top 10 in both races a year ago. A little bit aggressive there with a 60 of Ty Majeski. Let's go on board with Brennan here.
And that's a little bit more contact than you want to have. When he gets the 2nd hit, you really got to worry about your right front tire or the left rear tire. Ty Majeski in that situation very early on for that to happen.
It's so easy to knock the valve stems out of the wheels of these tires as well.
Battle for position there. Teammates Brendan Gaughan in the 62. Red colors this week. Inside of Scott Lagasse Jr. Third start of the year for him, driving for RCR. Car was really good after a spin in qualifying. He is up front once again.
Dan made it to the final round. Did a real nice job in that 3 car.
Right behind them, Blake Cook got the alliance with Richard Childress Racing. And the 51 of Jeremy Clements doing a nice job in the early going. Currently 13th.
A small team there. I feel like we talk about Jeremy Clements a lot. He just does a lot with a little. They're not a big budget team, and he seems to make it work.
Right behind him, Ross Chastain driving the 4 for JD Motorsports. Had a top 10 run here a year ago. Second in the truck race a few seasons ago, driving for Brad Keselowski.
Ryan Reed, that 16 car, makes the pass on the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. Great battle for 5th here. Justin Allgaier, the 7, going after Majeski for 5th and has it.
Yeah, that last short track race a couple of months ago, Richmond, Virginia. Really good effort for Justin Allgaier. Probably should have won it, showing speed early tonight, up to the 5th position as he got around Majeski.
I was talking to Justin a couple weeks ago. He joined us as we watch Elliott Sadler make his way towards the front. Justin joined us in the booth for an ARCA race, and I asked him, what's the difference? You seem to have more speed this year. He's led more laps this year than he has in any other year in his career. He said, we just come to the racetrack and we do our own thing. We don't worry about what anyone else is doing. We certainly compare notes with our teammates, but we come how we feel we need to come, and we've had more speed initially than we've ever had before.
On board with Sadler from the back to 18th in 7 laps, driving angry a bit here.
I do not think he was happy when he went to the back right there, but Elliott Sadler, it should be no surprise. His stats here are absolutely incredible. 12 for 12 in top 10 finishes, and you know that's going to pay dividends when we get to the end of the stage that he's made up those positions this quick. That's what he's got to be focused on, is getting into the next stage in a little bit better spot.
And he knows, coming in with a championship lead, hasn't won, has won 3 stages to get 3 playoff points this year. But if he can win the regular season championship, that's 15 playoff points. A lot of incentive for driver 1 to get through the field, and as you said, collect some stage points here in stage 1.
Yeah, and let's not forget that those playoff points carry over each part of the playoffs this year. You don't just get them for the first round, you get them for all the rounds. That could very easily get you all the way into Homestead.
We saw William Byron have trouble at Phoenix in the penultimate race last year in the Truck Series. Had the playoff system been what it is now, he would have had enough playoff points to advance to Homestead, and then he won that race. He'd have been our champion last year.
Last win for Elliott Sadler was in the playoffs. Kentucky last September in a postseason opener, so he'd like to get back to victory lane, so close to winning the championship down at Homestead Miami Speedway, already up to 15th. And the other driver that went to the rear at the start, Cole Custer, he's up to 23rd in his Ford, a rookie out of California. Battle for second starting to get interesting. Christopher Bell, a second in front of Kyle Benjamin, and William Byron, the other killer bee up front, now in the 3rd spot, but trying to go by Benjamin here.
Yeah, William Byron came here last year, first time in the truck, won that race. He's won here in the K&N Series as well. All he needs is one more win here in the Xfinity Series to do the trifecta.
And he came so close last week. You know he got that taste of victory. He wants to get that win. He was within a foot of getting his first career win last week. It looks like things are going well for him right now.
So we're 12 laps in to our opening stage here at Iowa. Christopher Bell, Kyle Benjamin, William Byron, your top 3 in the heartland. 17 of 60 laps complete in our opening stage at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Christopher Bell started on pole. He's led every lap so far. The other story we are following is championship leader Elliott Sadler. Elliott qualified in the 4th position. Thought he'd be a big-time player tonight. Unapproved adjustments to his Chevrolet, dropped to the rear. How about 38th to 13th in the first 18 laps of this race? That's pretty impressive.
That's 25 positions
that
in
is
18 laps.
And what we found out, he's got a great race car.
He does have a great race car, but from the driver's seat, there's nothing like going through the field that quick because it gets you pumped up. You know how fast your car is, and you're just looking forward to the caution when you can get tightened up with the front guys and race against them.
He didn't want to give up that track position, but man, is that a blast passing all those cars.
But hey, to add perspective, Cole Custer, who's got a fast car too, started at the rear after having to make a tire change post-qualifying. He's worked his way to 21st. Nothing wrong with that in less than 20 laps, but it really shows you how good Elliott Sadler is here in the early going.
Had Sadler not done what he did, we'd be talking the same way about Cole Custer and how quick he's moving through the pack. He's doing a nice job as well.
How do they feel about that 0-0, Vince?
Pretty good, Adam. They say it's a little bit tight, but it's okay. Certainly could be a lot worse considering the traffic that he's running in. You know, they said this has been the best week of the season for this team so far this season, from the time they unloaded off the truck to the way they executed throughout the week, the weeks of practice, and then, of course, having that flat tire in qualifying put them back in the pack to start. But it's been a good weekend so far for the 0-0, trying to cap it off right here, Hermie.
Just a good start to the race also for Justin Allgaier. He was a little bit free on entry in practice. They got that fixed. He liked his entry. Cannot get it to turn in the center, a little bit too snug, and he'd like a little bit more forward bite. But overall, they've improved the car from practice to the last 8 to 10 laps. His lap times compare to those leading the race. Caitlin?
Well, Hermie, Christopher Bell is only making a second Xfinity start, but obviously so far so good for him. Talking with his crew chief, Jacob Cantor, he did a lot of preparation for this race. He spent some time with Christopher on the truck side yesterday, just trying to learn more about what Christopher favors. Also, he said he made some calls to crew chiefs Mike Wheeler, Chris Gale, Adam Stevens, all those guys who's crew chief here at Iowa in the past, to try and get some insight and prepare even better for this weekend as his role as crew chief for Christopher Bell, guys.
Yeah, I was talking to Christopher in the garage yesterday, and I said, how disappointing is it? You had to make the change with the crew chief. Gabe Hart suspended for 2 weeks after that run was encumbered last week at Michigan. He said, I worked in late models with Chris Gabehart. I was comfortable with him. I had never met Jacob Cantor before this morning, and now the two are leading this race as we have our first caution of the night. It's the 90 of Dexter Bean. Showed some speed early in qualifying, and he will bring out the yellow flag just shy of halfway in stage one. And you got 3 sets of tires in the pits. I'm guessing you just have to stay out here and maintain track position. You guys agree?
I don't think you can afford to put the tires on this early. Maybe with a handful of laps to go in that stage, you might want to do that and gamble and put them on in order to position yourself better for the second stage. But I think we stay out right now.
I think you have to stay out right now. There's definitely just too many laps left in this stage to make this work and make it pull off.
On board with Sam Hornish Jr., front row seat for the Dexter Bean spin. Into turn one.
Got a little bit tight when he was racing with
I go.
car up there, lost a little bit of air off that rear spool, and around he went. Sam did a nice job. Spotter did a nice job as well, directing Sam around that.
And that's something that we need to talk about. Also, we have different spotters for a lot of these guys that they maybe aren't accustomed to with all the Cup guys being in Sonoma this weekend. So a little bit of an adjustment phase for the drivers, especially rookie drivers who are maybe just getting used to a spotter now.
As well as different pit crews for a lot of these teams. I don't think any of the 3 Gibbs cars has their regular pit crew, where the Penske car does have their regular pit crew, as well as some of the others.
First caution of the night. Good break for Iowa's own Joey Gase. First car 1 lap down. He'll get the free pass. You know who this is also big for? I think Elliott Sadler.
Absolutely.
Had worked his way to 13th, but these cars had really gotten spread out. Now we tighten him up. He could really work his way into the top 10 here.
Absolutely. He could go out there and have another good restart right here and find himself in the top 7 within the next 2 or 3 laps. And all of a sudden, that penalty that seemed so huge at the start of the race, it's not much of a penalty anymore for him.
Pits are going to be open the next time around. Speaking of restarts, the initial start of the race, Bell, pole sitter, takes the outside lane. Any surprises there at all?
No surprise, just strictly because of the momentum. For whatever reason, Iowa really lends to the outside line, getting a run off of turn 2, and that car being cleared pretty easily, so that doesn't surprise me there.
And it seems like that's more of a trend in most of the racetracks we go to, where the guys will choose the outside.
So we told you the pit lane is open. And they come off of turn 4. Bell looks content to stay out, maintain track position, and not too many aggressive behind him, making the left-hand turn to come down for service. There goes Allgaier, Majeski, and all the top 10 going to bypass pit road and do exactly what we thought. What about Joey Gase getting that free pass, Vince?
Free pass indeed, and you know, this is a special race for Joey, the Iowa native, and not just because he's been racing here at Iowa Speedway since he's been 15 years old, but on the hood of his car, it's sponsored by the Iowa Donor Network. and he has the photos of 3 people on there, including his mom, Mary Gase, who passed away in 2011. But because of her donation of her organs, her eyes, her tissues, 66 people have had their lives extended because of her organ donation. Very special. Talked to Joey before the race today, and he said it means so much. He's had an opportunity to meet some of those who's continue to live their life today because of the donation of his mother, and he said it means so much, including a season ticket holder right here at Iowa Speedway. He said, little did I know that they'd been here watching him race all this time, and they didn't even know the connection. Pretty special place for Joey Gase here tonight.
And Vince, this isn't just something he's doing at Iowa because this is his home racetrack. You see it every week as he works with the local chapters, doing a great job of spreading awareness in what is no doubt a very difficult circumstance and has been for a number of years for him.
And had a little bit of fun last night. He went to Cedar Rapids, his local racetrack that he grew up on, and won the feature.
Joey's one of the absolute nicest guys in this garage area. You like seeing good things like that happen for him. You'd love to see him have a strong run here tonight in front of his hometown crowd.
Did have a few drivers come down pit road. Brendan Gaughan was the furthest toward the front of those, scored in 27th after he got his service. What are they thinking there, Hermie?
Well, Adam, his car was just too loose. He could not get entry into the corner, losing a lot of speed on entry and losing a lot of grip on exit. Just really, really loose, could not do what he wanted to do. He came down pit road. They made major chassis adjustments. They did not put tires on this car. They've only got 4 sets to run the entire night, so they made adjustments, sent Brendan back on the racetrack, but saving that first set of tires until the end of this stage.
Yeah, tires are going to be big, not just at the end of stage 1 and stage 2, but depending on how that 130-lap final stage plays out, a lot of questions in the garage area as to when you come down pit road and use up that last set of tires.
Yeah, the good news is this is the same tire that these guys have been on here for a couple, 3 years, but the difference is they've probably lost, what, over 20% of the downforce with this rule package that they had last year. They didn't exactly know how everything was going to react to that. Obviously, a lot of these guys fighting loose.
Yeah, they're fighting loose, and these cars are going to slip and slide all night long because of that. Let's also remember that they've got one less set for this race than what they had last year. The way the stages are going to break down, it really is going to change when they want to take that last set in that final stage, and that could really dictate who wins and loses this when it's all done.
Just past 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Good to have you with us live on FS1. We're at Iowa Speedway, 14th race of the year for the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Regan Smith, Phil Parsons. I'm Adam Alexander. Christopher Bell, second career start, qualified on the poles, led all 29 laps. And for this restart, as we wrap up our first caution, he will take the outside lane. Teammate Kyle Benjamin to his left. William Byron, Sam Hornish Jr. on row 2. We'll complete lap 30 as we go green. And the pace car heads to pit road. The drivers will be in the Geico restart zone.
How about William Byron jumping down to the inside of Benjamin?
How about Sam Hornish Jr. jumping to second in the running order? Not a great restart for the 18 of Benjamin.
I wonder if that restart on hot tires from the inside, we may see that trend later on tonight as well.
It seems like every track we've gone to this year, we're seeing a trend of one lane working better than the other. Right now, it appears that the outside is definitely where they're going to want to be, and they don't want to be that first car on the inside.
You look at the restarts, you think about all the laps he led last night, you can't help but think those 200 laps yesterday evening in the truck race are not a huge benefactor for Christopher Bell right now.
Well, laps on a racetrack are huge, but especially when the tire is the same, that makes an even bigger deal for a driver because they understand where that track's going to go, how it's going to transition. We're getting to the part now where this track's starting to get shaded, and once that happens, he's going to know better than anybody else out there what his car is going to do.
And we have 30 laps now on these tires as well, so that may play into it also.
Update on Elliott Sadler, lost a little ground on the restart. Back in 13th, so status quo since we went back green. Getting physical with the 11 of Blake Cook, going to drive by and up to 12th now.
It's time to go, time to get up in the top 10. We have stage points available here in about 26 laps.
The great part about that move that Sadler just made right there, he didn't actually hit him. That was the error, pushing that car sideways in front of him. And that's the fun part about Iowa. It's got some characteristics of a big racetrack.
He made a believer out of me. I thought for sure there was a little nudge there. How many many times do you see that, though, and it speaks to the aero sensitivity of these race cars? You get up on them within 6 inches or so, and it looks like you're pounding that back bumper.
And the air is pushing them.
3 wide, that's not a great equation. This track is wide enough. 42, that's Tyler Reddick in the top 10 doing a nice job. In fact, how about 3 rookies going 3 wide? Hemrick down low, Reddick in the middle and outside, Matt Tifft. Now Brennan Poole is there pushing Tifft in front of him.
He had a great run on the outside there, made it 4 wide for a moment.
And we're starting to see that outside work a little more and a little more. We talked about that 40-lap window being where the tires kind of started to like that outside groove, and these guys are realizing that, especially when they're packed up like this. It gives them another option.
And we're in a central time zone. It's only 8:05 here. The sun yet to go down. So with that, once we get in full darkness, the lights are on, the groove probably going to change even more, right?
Yeah, I don't know that the sun's necessarily going to affect the groove as much as laps on the tires will affect it, but it's definitely going to be an adjustment for these race cars. They're going to gain some grip. Whatever they're fighting is going to be even worse.
4 wide, 3 wide, and J.J. Yaley in the mix. What a great job for the 14 out of TriStar Motorsports.
I think this is a byproduct of stage racing. They know that the laps are winding down in this stage #1, and these guys want to get up in that top 10, get some points.
And at the front, caution came out. Christopher Bell was a second in front of his teammate. But Sam Hornish Jr., the runner-up car now, he's not letting the 20 get away.
I think Sam did a nice job of knocking whatever rust he had off to start this race pretty quick. He's going to be up here challenging very, very soon. He just keeps nipping away at that lead as he goes.
What's the biggest challenge, fellas, when you haven't been driving for a while?
I think it's everything. You got to get used to having somebody back in your ear again. You got to get used to the feel of the race car. We see him sideways right there. You got to get used to catching that when that happens. I mean, that's not easy to do, especially at Iowa. When you come off of turn 2, it's almost like a roller coaster. You go up and then you go back downhill and the car gets light.
And he told us on the radio, you're getting used to this rule package as well. Again, over 20% less downforce, Vince, than these guys had last year.
Yeah, and he said that was kind of the big issue for him, and just getting used to it is the difference in the package that, he hasn't raced this before. He said it hasn't been an issue during practice or during qualifying at all, and he really worked on his pit lane entry all during practice yesterday. He said the one thing that had him a little nervous was the racecraft, the racing side by side, etc. He said, but he really felt pretty comfortable, as comfortable as he could feel coming back after 9 months. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, another driver has had limited starts this year is Tyler Reddick. We were talking about him in that 42 car. Only 6 starts so far this season, but I talked with him earlier today. He said even when he's not in that 42 car, he's involved at the track and at the shop. He says, I learned a lot actually from Kyle Larson, but he said one thing I've been working on is having a little more finesse in the cars, not being too aggressive with the wheel and with the braking. And right now the only thing he's really said is a little bit tight center in that 42 car, guys.
Well, the 42 has been magic in 2017. Kyle Larson, the only 3-time winner, all of them behind the wheel of that 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing. Up front, it's Christopher Bell. Then it's Hornish, Byron, Benjamin, Allgaier, your top 5. Just over 10 laps to go, stage 1, NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway. Christopher Bell out in front of Sam Hornish Jr. by a second. Elliott Sadler started at the back from 38th to 6th. As we get set to wrap up stage #1, communication is key. Here's how communication helped Elliott Sadler worry less with our Liberty Mutual Insurance spotter coverage.
Just help me roll the center a little bit of each corner and try to keep his drive off in it as best you can. I can handle the entry both corners. I can do some stuff in here. So right now, just give me a little bit of front turn while keeping a little bit of forward driving. And I know that's tight, and I know that's tough to do, but just kind of look in that direction.
Elliott going back and forth there with his crew chief, Kevin Mendering, and also help from high above on the spotter stand. At a short track, you never can have enough communication to walk you through the steps, huh, Regan?
You're absolutely going back and forth all the time, and you really got to lean on that spotter as to what's going on around you. And as we touched on earlier, he may not have his normal spotter, so that makes it more of a challenge, and you got to have even better communication because of that.
And we talk about the numbers. He goes from 38th to 6th. Now how do you reset the mindset? Because they're back in the game now.
Yeah, well, basically, they didn't have a penalty at this point. They're running their race the way that they want to run their race. You hear him talking about needing his car to turn just a little bit better through the center, but not lose the forward drive up off the corner. So they're already thinking ahead to that pit stop at lap 60 when they take and make it. And that's not what the crew chief always wants to hear. That's a tough thing to fix. Make it turn better in the middle, but don't hurt my drive up off.
So Elliott Sadler is 6th. And who's behind him? Yes, that's the 14 of J.J. Yaley. Outstanding effort.
Yeah, a little strategy there. He came in on lap number 27. He was in the 25th spot. Riggin, he put tires on. He's moving around the racetrack. He's going to get him some stage points here with just a few laps left in this stage. So good move by that bunch.
Great opportunity for that team to get the stage points you talk about. We saw that same team do this in the last race at Iowa last year when they were here, and they were able to get up front and take a chance to try and get some points as well.
Nice battle here for position. The 51 is Jeremy Clements, 17th. Racing to the high side of the 28. That would be Dakota Armstrong. Got his career best finish here last July. And also Cole Custer in the 00, plus 21 for him after the tire change post-qualifying. He's gone from back to 19th. And throw Brandon Jones in there. Not happy with his car in qualifying, but he's 20th after a top 10 run at Michigan a week ago.
Well, these guys are racing hard here. We have almost 200 laps to go in this race. And these guys are really racing hard. Cole Custer trying to make his way from the back up towards the front. Done a nice job getting up in the top 20.
Well, I think a big reason we're seeing them race as hard as they are is that top side has come in. I mean, it's there. They are to the point where they want to run up there almost at the wall. And that's exciting. I can't wait to see this race play out because of that.
This inside the top 10, you got Ty Majeski, who is 10th, and they're racing hard in front of him, Hermie.
Adam, by all accounts, this has been a great start to an Xfinity Series career for Ty Majeski. He started 10th, moved up to 5th. He stayed back a little bit in these final 10-15 laps. He described his car as tight in the center, and on a scale of 1 to 10, a 5 loose off. Talking to his team before the race, they were not concerned about actually on the track racing. They were concerned about the initial start, restarts, coming to pit road, getting off pit road, all those kind of things. And we'll see how all that plays out. But he has certainly proven to me, watching off turn 4, that he can handle a very loose race car.
Well, you're going to learn quick when you're racing like this. And keep in mind those guys right around him, the 16 of Ryan Reed, 21 of Daniel Hemrick. They want to be in the top 10 to get some stage points here, only 4 laps away from finishing stage 1. Look at Ryan Reed in the 16, the 3 of Scott Lagasse Jr. Yikes, hang on to that thing.
It gets tight enough off of turn 4, and then when you got somebody in your door like that, it gets even worse yet. You're fighting a loose race car and just trying to hold on to it, and then you start door slamming. Makes it tricky.
See that car all the way down to the bottom. Quinn Houff, that's the 46 car. Same situation. He put tires on lap 27. He's trying to battle his way up into the top 10, racing alongside Majeski right now.
He and Mark Setzer played a great strategy at Bristol to take the wave around, got a free pass, ended up inside the top 12. That team has done some positive things in 2017. All right, we got 2 laps to go in our opening stage. You set off the top, Phil. Some of these guys here tonight, even though there were no Cup drivers here, could steal points. Christopher Bell in that category leading with 1 lap to go in our opening stage. Sam Hornish Jr. in that same situation is second. William Byron, the top series regular right now in stage 1. As we look at the battle for 14th, Majeski in the 60, Reddick in the 42.
Yeah, these guys battling to try to stay in the top 15. Majeski's 14th, Reddick 15th.
How about this? Second career start for Christopher Bell on the pole. Stage 1 winner at Iowa. Second to Sam Hornish Jr. Top series regular is going to be William Byron. He collects 8 points. His teammates right behind him. Allgaier 4th. Elliott Sadler from 38th to 5th. Others in the top 10. Kyle Benjamin, J.J. Yaley, Scott Lagasse Jr., Ryan Reed, and Daniel Hemrick also getting points here in stage 1. We're live in Iowa with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Stage 1 completed Iowa. Here's the breakdown on points. Christopher Bell signed up for truck points, so he gets nothing despite the fact that he won. Sam Hornish Jr. credited with 9, but he's not running for the championship. You got to look at guys like William Byron, Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, Ryan Reed, Daniel Hemrick. They're the real big benefactors when you talk about series regulars in stage 1.
Yeah, the top 3 series regulars, all JR Motorsports top 3 in points coming into this.
Pit road is open as we begin things here in stage 2. Hermie, what's up?
Justin Allgaier has two problems. He's tight in the center. He says he can manage that from inside the car. He needs more rear grip. They'll do that with 4 tires, a track bar adjustment, and Sunoco fuel. Caitlin.
Well, taking a look at Christopher Bell, the Stage 1 winner. Listening to him on the radio, he said that last run we got a little freer, but pretty much perfect overall in terms of the balance. They're going to go ahead and make it a 4-tire stop as well for the 20. Vince.
Sam Hornish Jr. says on a scale of 1 to 5, he's a 3 loose in, so it's going to be an air pressure adjustment and track bar adjustment for the 22 of Hornish.
We've seen 3 wide on track. How about on pit road? The battle off the pit lane goes to the 9 of William Byron. Missed out on his first career victory last week by 12 1/1000ths of a second. Second was Sam Hornish Jr. And in that exchange, Christopher Bell, who led every lap in our opening stage, came off third.
Hey, Christopher Bell, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
It seems like about 24 hours ago I was talking to you after winning stage 1 in the truck race. Is that a dream machine too?
Yes, sir. It's been really good out front. It'll be interesting to see how it is in traffic here, but I don't feel like traffic is near as big as what it is in the truck series as far as aero dependency. So I feel like we've got a really good camera here. We're going to try and make our way back up to the front.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'd say it's a pretty good Iowa debut in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. On board with championship leader Elliott Sadler. It is tight when you go to a short track. That is awesome. About ready for stage 2. Gorgeous night at Iowa Speedway for the American Ethanol E15 250. Before we go green, let's go to pit road and hear from Hermie.
Well, Adam, we went full stage on the set of tires for the 60 of Ty Majeski. Look at the right front tire, the inside of that tire. Strings, cords hanging out of that tire. Now, his car was tight through the center of the corner. One of the causes of that could be that inside of that right front tire. But as a crew chief talking to a rookie driver, guys, what do you tell your driver about this right front tire?
Well, I think from my standpoint, what I'd want to know is what exactly happened to that tire. Once that happened, I'm sure he got even tighter. Yeah, the tightness probably caused the initial problem, and then when that came apart, the car got even tighter yet. So he's going to have to do what he can in the seat to try and manage that right front tire until they can get that car freed up.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of an excessive camber situation, but there's nothing they can do about that right now. He's going to have to figure it out from the seat.
That's the rest of the night. He's going to have to deal with it. That's right.
Easiest place to pass here is pit road. You drivers agree with that?
Totally.
Absolutely.
So William Byron, thankful for the service he got. The race leader, as we start things off in stage 2, takes the outside lane alongside Sam Hornish Jr. It'll be Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier in row 2. Then it's Kyle Benjamin and Elliott Sadler.
And I think we need to point out that there's a disparity in the pit crews. We know that the Cup cars are out west, but a lot of these Xfinity guys don't have their regular pit crews on pit road, Vince.
Well, that's exactly the case for the 18 of Kyle Benjamin. We're being told is being penalized for having a loose tire. This is the first time this pit crew has worked with this team during the course of the season. They've got a new spotter today. Benjamin working with the crew chief for the first time and a new pit crew. So trying to keep from avoiding those mistakes.
And that loss of track position really hurts as we go green in stage 2. Byron in the outside lane jumps to the race lead. Look at Allgaier strong in that outside lane.
To the 20 of Christopher Bell racing side by side with Sam Hornish, the 22 for third.
See him side by side, 3 wide. So important on the restart to take advantage and get positions here when things are tightened up.
Yeah, other than pit road, restarts are the other easiest time to make passes. That's why we see the aggression and we see a lot of problems potentially happen on restarts. Everybody knows that, and everybody wants to get every spot they can while the tires are fresh and they're all bunched up.
That's why we see him racing 3 wide, 4 wide right after these restarts.
Brandon Jones doing a nice job in the 33 inside the top 10.
I think Regan was right. This groove has moved all the way up or potentially all the way up. I think now there's at least 3 distinct grooves that these guys can make time on.
Well, and the other thing that does is it gives you confidence as a driver to know that it's clean if you do have to go up there. The racetrack doesn't have any of the marbles that tend to build up. The other unique part about Iowa is going into turn 1, there's 4 or 5 different grooves that you can choose to run. You can take it really wide and create a late apex, or you can go in really narrow, make up a lot of time on a guy. It might make your race car tight, but if you can get a nose inside of him, you have a chance to pull a pass off doing that.
Here's what I like. Brendan Gaughan worked his way to 13th on the high side, but that time through turns 3 and 4 looked to the middle groove to make a pass. This place is versatile. He's painting the yellow line now.
We know Brendan's the guy that's going to move around, and he's definitely doing that. I talked to Shane Wilson yesterday, and he said, I'm going to have to keep my driver away from the top just a little bit early on. He loves to go up there. I don't want to wear a right front tire out until it gets a little bit of rubber down.
I think on 3 consecutive corners, he went in 3 different lanes.
And remember, he didn't like his car early. Made that pit stop on the opening caution, got fuel only, got his tires there with everyone else at lap 64, and now he's knocking on the door of the top 10. This for 6th, Ryan Reed in the 16, Tyler Reddick in the 42, and J.J. Yaley hanging tough in older tires in that 14.
Yeah, J.J. was able to parlay a strategy call, put some tires on, got some points during that stage, and these guys are really racing hard here.
I know everyone loves this track, and we've said it for years, but this is an extra special treat that we're getting here tonight.
I'm sitting up here smiling. I love everything that I've seen. This is some fun racing, and cars are already, with only 10 laps on tires roughly, they're already going back up to the top by choice. They're not going up there because they're being forced up there. They're going up there because there's speed up there.
On board with Brennan Poole. Just a moment ago, we saw the 0-0 of Cole Custer taking his time, but no doubt getting to the front, Vince.
Well, up into the top 15 now. Remember, he had to start 24th because they had a flat during qualifying. Well, that last yellow at the end of the stage really came right on time for Custer, because when they got him in and took a look at those 4 tires, his right rear was going down. So if they'd have been out on the track any longer, it would have been a problem for Custer. They freed him up with track bar and wedge and avoided disaster in the process.
And Vince, that's a team, since we had that 2-week break prior to Charlotte, last 4 weekends, they've been top 10. He scored more points than anybody. That group has really found their groove in recent weeks.
He's been the top finishing Xfinity regular 3 times this year in our 13 races.
Haven't mentioned his name in a while, but the 2-car of Ben Kennedy is inside the top 10. He is 9th as we get a caution, and it's Sam Hornets Jr., who was inside the top 5 and won this race 1 year ago, was scored in the 3rd position when he got it turned around and hit the wall.
Tough break for Sam. We know how excited he was about this race tonight and how much success that he's had here. Got to wonder if maybe there wasn't somebody inside of him with a little bit of contact or something.
Yeah, he said it. I think we're done. And the last time he drove one of these cars, we didn't have the crash clock 5-minute rule in place, but as you look at that race car, no doubt their evening is over. And we don't talk about this a lot, but they came in leading the Owners' Championship. So successful in 2017. Brad Keselowski won in that car a couple of weeks ago at Pocono. First win for the 22 bunch in 46 races. But unfortunately, problems for Sam. You're on board with the 22 here.
That's Christopher Bell, the 20 right behind him.
Well, we see Bell use that top side to get a nice run down into turn 1, carrying a lot of momentum.
Inside.
A little tough to tell. It looks like Bell maybe just slipped up the racetrack just a little bit and possibly cut Sam's left rear in the process of it.
It sounded like the tire was down before he made contact with the outside safer barrier. You could hear that flapping already before he even hit the outside wall.
Yeah, that flapping's a tire down, but I think he had contact to cut that tire.
That's what I mean, before he hit the wall, yeah. You can see Christopher Bell was right next to him, so there had to be a little bit of contact there. And you could tell from the seams in the racetrack that Sam did not move up into, move down into Christopher Bell.
Yeah, Sam was holding his line right there. I'd have to think that Bell maybe just slid up the track a little bit. They rubbed fenders like we talked about earlier, cut that left rear tire, and then Sam went around and they finished him off.
Sam from the car will go to the infield care center. What are they saying in the 20 camp, Caitlin?
Well, Christopher Bell came across the radio, sounded kind of apologetic. He said, "I'm sorry, guys. I just got a little bit free underneath him." That's the latest on him, guys.
You don't see much damage from any contact, though, on the 20. Yeah, there's a little mark. If it wasn't there before, I thought maybe I saw that earlier, but wouldn't rule out that it was from the contact with Sam.
Yeah, and sometimes the exhaust pipes can cut down that sidewall on that tire or knock the valve stem out or whatever. It doesn't take a whole lot to cut a tire down.
No, it absolutely doesn't. And that part of the corner is a tricky part anyways. These guys are all loose going into turn one. That's what we've talked about all week long, is these guys struggling to get into one and keep the cars tight enough, and we see Christopher Bell get down just a little bit too much. And
under caution for the third time tonight. It's for one of the pre-race favorites. Sam Hornish Jr. is out. William Byron is leading at Iowa.
There's a place nestled in the cornfields of Iowa where we harvest a different kind of bumper crop. Not corn, soybeans, or hay. We grow smiles as big as you've ever seen. We cultivate an atmosphere of excitement and plant the seeds for passions that last a lifetime. It's a place where fun takes the fast track and worries take a back seat. Because this isn't just Iowa. This is Iowa Speedway.
So last night, the Camping World Truck Series was here in Iowa. In less than a month, they'll be at Eldora Speedway, one of the great nights on the NASCAR calendar, as we hit the dirt with the tailgaters. Made the announcement last night. Not going to be on FS1. It'll be on Fox Business Channel. If you're a DirecTV subscriber, that's channel 359 on Dish Network. It's channel 206. You can always watch it on Fox Sports Go. We're live in Ohio on a Wednesday night. It's July 19th. Qualifying on FS1 at 5 Eastern. FS2 has those qualifying races that are so entertaining. That happens at 7:30. And the setup gets us going on the Fox Business Network, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
That track owner does a really nice job with the surface there, too.
He's okay.
Yeah.
He's all right.
And that's Tony Stewart, by the way.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about.
Always fun to watch Tony. He's out there with a smile on his face the whole time running that tractor, getting the dirt just how he wants it to be to put on a great show.
So at the end of stage one, Kyle Benjamin was running inside the top 10, was 6th when they had a tire getaway, dropped to the rear to pay his penalty for that uncontrolled tire. They just came down pit road, fueled it, didn't put on any tires, didn't make an adjustment. He's 26 right now, Vince.
Yeah, Adam, and the thought process there was the fact that Benjamin's car was loose. They knew by coming down they were only going to lose a few spots anyway, so they could come in, make a chassis adjustment, make the car a little bit better for them. They feel like they're going to be able to drive by those cars in those spots they would have lost anyway. Herbie?
Well, Vince, Daniel Hemrick in the 21 finally making his way towards the front. He qualified at 11th and pretty much stayed in that zone the first part of this race, but the car was so loose he could not hustle this 21. Last time down pit road, crew chief Danny Stockman and crew removed a right rear spring rubber, made a air pressure adjustment, and he's gained 2 or 3 spots in the last 10 or 15 laps. So let's see if he can crack the top 5.
Take a look at Daniel Hemrick, going to restart on row number 3. Up front, William Byron with his teammate Justin Allgaier. Elliott Sadler, who started at the back with those unapproved changes, going to restart in row 2 with the pole sitter, Christopher Bell. Once again, the man out front, the control car, William Byron, takes the outside lane, will complete lap 26 when we go green in stage 2. Let's put the pace car on pit road and head over to the Geico restart zone.
So impressed with Elliott Sadler's early run here, all the way up to the 4th position.
Green, green.
Justin Allgaier with a power move. He's able to clear William Byron off of turn 2 from the bottom. That's a tough move to make here.
First time we've seen the bottom work here tonight.
Yeah, I have to wonder if maybe Byron had a little bit of a hiccup going into one that allowed him to get just a little more momentum there.
All the spotters and the crew chiefs will take note of that.
Yeah, that's just going to make them question later on, well, which way do we go? They're going to have less of a clue.
Good restart for Ben Kennedy in that outside lane. He's got as good a track position as he's had all night long in the 2 car. We're 3 wide once again among the bunch there. The 00 of Cole Custer. Ty Majeski outside of the 11 of Blake Cook. That was tight.
A little bit of contact between the 11 of Cook and the 60 of Majeski.
Let's hear from Sam Hornish Jr. He's out of the infield care center. Caitlin.
And not the day he would have liked to have seen. Christopher Bell said he got free underneath. You got a little loose. What were you experiencing in the car?
The car was pretty good. Our discount tire Ford Mustang was, getting better. I felt like we were heading the direction that we needed. I tried to move my line up just a tad bit through 3 and 4, and that allowed the 20 to get a run on me, and it seemed like he just overdrove down the corner and got loose and into us. And it's a shame for all the guys on this car. Not the way that I wanted to debut being back here at Team Penske, and I've made my own fair share of mistakes, but man, I hate being on that end of it, and hoping to get the opportunity to come back here and run later on this year, and also some other races, but it's just not how we wanted to go at all.
Thank you. Glad you're okay, guys.
Battle for the lead, Caitlin. Outside Allgaier, inside William Byron. He said, hey, teammate, that inside lane worked for you. Watch this.
Well,
the 9 car going back to the point.
Yeah, and don't look now, but Elliott Sadler's right there running the top side, trying to make this a 3-way JRM battle for the lead.
Oh, by the way, Dale Jr. qualified 10th today at Sonoma. Been a great weekend for the 88 on the road course in Northern California. And if he's watching tonight, he's got to love what he's seeing. His Chevy's 1, 2, 3 at Iowa.
Well, Dale Jr. is watching this race.
He's been sneaky good at the road courses. Look out for him tomorrow. I know he's got a couple top 5s out there. Maybe he's turning it into a road ringer here.
Did you hear that Elliott Sadler started at the back tonight?
That's what somebody said. I don't believe it.
We're halfway through stage 2, and the championship leader thinking about going to the point. This is incredible.
And right now, these guys that are up here racing with him, they're all concerned because they know he started at the back too. And when you see a car come from the back to the front like that, you're asking your spotter, and you know where they're at positionally on the racetrack, and that makes you nervous for later on.
And oh, by the way, he's never finished out of the top 10 here in 12 starts. So this is by far one of his favorite racetracks. We've heard him say that before. And is he getting it done?
But here's the bottom line. I don't care how good your race car is. When you start shotgun at a short track in a fairly short race, there are so many issues that can come with that. He really hasn't faced him here tonight, although that was a bit of a wiggle coming off the corner, and now he's got another young gun going after him. Christopher Bell, the pole sitter, back in the picture.
Yeah, and that wiggle was caused by William Byron making a bit of a veteran move. He moved up the racetrack. He saw Sadler coming on the top side with a lot of momentum. He moved up 2 grooves, wanted to see if that was going to be quicker himself. When he did that, it took the air off of Sadler's car. That caused the loose on the exit of 4 for Sadler.
Allgaier's back to 4th now. Ben Kennedy, the other car, inside the top 5, but our focus on the top 3. William Byron at 19 is leading this thing, side by side for 2nd. Christopher Bell, Dog, and Elliott Sadler for that runner-up position.
This is a great battle for 2nd. Completely different lines here. Elliott up to the top, Christopher Bell right down on the bottom. You can see Elliott use that momentum up off the corner to carry him down the straightaway.
He's having a great night. Ryan Reed back there in 6th. You see him just behind Ben Kennedy.
Ooh.
There they go. Reed is 6th. Got Daniel Hemrick in the top 10. Brennan Poole, Tyler Reddick, Brendan Gaughan. 36 of 60 laps complete at Iowa Speedway for the Xfinity Series.
What goes around comes around. And as a sport that races in laps, we know that a clean race pays off in the finish. It's why NASCAR commits to green programs and biofuel, like Sunoco Green E15, so we can offset our carbon emissions. We're not going to stop making a difference, and neither should you. Learn how you can help by visiting NASCAR.com/green today.
It's good to be bad. When you look at me, you say, what's his problem? Or you need me. Because without me, you'd have no one to curse. And where's the fun in that?
Toyota Save Mart 350. Coverage begins Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on FS1.
In a race that stimulates all 5 senses, you're gonna need every single one of them.
KFC's new Spicy Crispy Zinger Chicken Sandwich is now available in a $5 fill-up. Because who wants to spend $7 on a meal at a burger place when you could spend $5 on a meal at KFC? You need another reason? I didn't think so. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is on.
I'll jump out and guide you back.
Easy, son. This is gonna blow your mind.
Whoa, awesome. That is really cool.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Now with summer's hottest offer. Get 0% for 60 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. During the Ford Summer Sales Event, get 0% for 60 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Offer ends July 5th.
UFC Fight Night on a special night, Sunday.
I know his mama got tickets. Don't you ever talk about my mom.
The War of Words was only the beginning.
This is getting good now.
Michael Chiesa, Kevin Lee. Oh! UFC Fight Night on a special night, Sunday at 9 Eastern on FS1.
17 laps to go in stage 2 at Iowa. Battle for the race lead. It is Christopher Bell to the inside and around William Byron. A lot has changed since we went to break, and Bell, who started on the pole, led every lap on our opening stage, is back out front once again.
He told us he thought it would be a little bit easier to pass with these Xfinity cars than it was the trucks, and he's made his way all the way back to the front.
This for 6th. You got Reed in the 16, Hemrick in the 21, and they're just behind Justin Allgaier, who was leading earlier in the stage, and all of a sudden he's 5th, Hermie.
He's fading, Adam, and the reason his right rear tire, according to Justin, is unhappy and it's not helping him navigate this racetrack. He was loose before he came down pit road. They made a track bar adjustment. They did not go far enough, and he's fading back. The last spot he lost was to Ben Kennedy. He's on the move, Vince.
He certainly is, Hermie. Randall Burnett's got this 2 machine tuned up. He qualified 21st, but that's very deceiving. Ben Kennedy was top 10 in both practices, and they just told him on the radio, you're the fastest car on the track. Just focus, you'll gain ground.
Hey, Vince, I don't want to give the big head to the new guy, Regan Smith, but somebody prior to the race tonight was selling that 2 car on the long run.
I saw his lap times yesterday, and it was sneaky good at the end of the runs. He had a lot of speed on old tires, and he's doing that again tonight. But he's doing a nice job of working that high line in as well. When he's moved up there, he's had speed up there too, as we see a lot of cars going there. He had a missed shift in practice yesterday. He was a little worried about that. Fortunately for him, they did not have to change that motor.
Well, look at the top 10. We got 4 cars there from the Richard Childress Racing Organization. Daniel Hemrick in 6th, and Brandon Jones doing a nice job back there in 10th.
Yeah, we have to give a call to ECR Engines for that thing, because he didn't miss the 3-4 shift. He went from 3 to 2nd. 3rd to 2nd instead of going to 4th.
Yeah, and if you go from 3rd to 4th, the rev limiter usually catches that, and it's not a big deal if you just miss the shift and get hung up in neutral. It's when you actually go into 2nd gear, the rev limiter can't catch that because that's actual rotations on the motor. It's a little bit different. So that's a scary situation for him to have, and you always worry about damage to motors. Obviously, they build strong stuff at ECR.
Had a lot of drivers had to drive their way through the field tonight. A handful, I should say. Elliott Sadler, who's 3rd. Cole Custer started the back with that tire issue. He's 13th. And Kyle Benjamin qualified on the front row, made that first pit stop after stage 1. Tire got away, went to the rear, made a pit stop at lap 83. Fuel only an adjustment. He restarted 26th, and now he's 14th. He might get to the top 10 before the end of stage 2. He goes around Scott Lagasse Jr. here.
Yeah, there are times when you have a 250 lap race and you have to start at the back, or you have some sort of an issue, whether it be a penalty, and it'll take you the entire race to make your way back to the front. We saw Elliott Sadler do it almost immediately, and it looks like Kyle Benjamin's on that same path.
Yeah, a lot of movement in the field tonight, which is good to see. It's because of the options these drivers have out here on where to go and what lanes they can run.
Hey, let's give a call to Benjamin. His 3rd career start. Every time he's been on the front row, but in the first 2, Richmond and Pocono, issues late that took them out of contention, finished outside the top 10. Adversity tonight would be easy for him to get down on himself, maybe overdrive it. He stayed patient, and that's why he's got a chance here to have a solid finish.
And in those first 2 starts, you almost have to say he was up front the whole time. He's getting a lot more knowledge, and he's learning a lot more as a race car driver tonight. That may pay off for him.
Whoa!
Oh, and as we talk about him, he loses it going into 3 here.
The classic jinx and contact with Ty Majeski, who's making his first career start tonight. And for the Kyle Benjamin fans,
right front damage coming this time.
a sincere apology, because we absolutely talked him into that spin.
Just a tough break for both himself and Ty Majeski making his first start. A lot of people are very high on Ty Majeski and looking forward to watching his career. He's only going to get a couple races this year as of right now, so you hate to see that happen. Both of those guys, really not a lot of races this year that they can count on running.
Benjamin was 14th when it got away from him, and I think he was probably going to save it.
I think we got a tire down here now. We're direct.
No fault of Ty Majeski, nowhere for him to go, and he got plenty of damage as well. It's our 4th caution of the night. 3 for issues on track, 1 for the into stage 1 as we go to Hermie.
Just wrong place at the wrong time for the 60 of Ty Majeski. Adam running a really solid race. He got somewhere on the racetrack. He was comfortable and was just holding ground right there. But as we saw it, Kyle Benjamin gets loose, slides down the racetrack. A lot of damage to the right front. A pretty sensitive area on this race car. They want to get back on the racetrack, try to stay on the lead lap as some other cars come down pit road as well. Justin Allgaier hits his pit stall. His car is too loose. Did not go far enough on the first run. It'll be 4 tires, fuel, and more track bar for Justin Allgaier. Caitlin?
Well, looking at the 20 car of Christopher Bell, the stage winner from the first stage, his crew chief asked him, what do you need? He said, right now, just need to be tightened up. So they're going ahead and make a chassis adjustment as well. 4 tire stop for the 20. Vince.
Well, in the 9 of William Byron, Byron says, I don't need to be tighter overall, but I do need more grip on exit, a little more drive off. Made an adjustment, and Sunoco fuel for the 9, 4 tires.
All right, so we should pay off that the 18 and 60 both went on the crash clock, and the 18 lost 15 seconds, so they're 5 minutes, because he was speeding on pit road. Now that we've paid that off, all of these drivers that pitted here getting their service with just over 5 laps to go in stage 2. One exception, Brendan Gaughan. He stays out and could be in position for a stage win. Let's go back and look at the reason for caution number 4.
You think maybe he entered the corner a little bit higher than he had been?
He was flirting with the edge of where the debris is on the racetrack right there. When he got sideways, we see all that smoke and all that dust coming off of the race car. Nobody had been up to where they were 3 or 4 inches off of the wall yet. He may have just slipped that right rear a little bit into those marbles, and it jumped out from underneath him. But then again, watching that groove there, it looks like that thing was loose really early in the corner. I don't think, I think he just got loose entering, and it ultimately collected him up into the fence.
Yeah, really hated for Majeski too, because he came along with nowhere to go, having a solid run tonight.
I think all of us in NASCAR circles love stage racing because of the strategy. When we go green, the top 9 drivers will have stayed out under this caution. It's going to be a 2-lap shootout to end stage 2. Front row to Brendan Gaughan. He stays out and takes the outside lane. Inside of him is Ryan Sieg. Row 2 goes to Dakota Armstrong, Jeremy Clements. The top 8 stayed on the racetrack. First on fresh tires is going to be William Byron in the 9. Here we go.
Look at Dakota Armstrong jump down to the inside, but Brendan Gaughan has a great restart.
Jeremy Clements working the outside of Ryan Sieg. I think this was a brilliant strategy call by Shane Wilson to leave his driver out, get maximum stage points, and get his first playoff point of the year.
Look at Ben Kennedy on the top side making up spots like crazy, 3 and 4 wide. He's making some great moves up there.
Kennedy, one of those drivers that did come down pit road, and those drivers that just pitted will stay out when we get the caution to end stage 2. It was a track position strategy play for them, but the door opened for Brendan Gaughan. And that track position is big because those on the older tires behind him gonna hold off the ones on newer tires. Byron comes back to second, but it's Brendan Gaughan who wins stage 2. How about that?
I'm glad we have electronic scoring, because I don't know how we're gonna score 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th just by eye.
How much fun was that? That is fun racing right there. You love seeing that stuff happen.
I had Brendan Gaughan winning stage 2 tonight. William Byron, Christopher Bell, Elliott Sadler, Jeremy Clements in the top 5. That was outstanding. Stage 2 completed Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Brendan Gaughan getting his first stage win of the year, collects 10 stage points, gets that playoff point, 7th driver in 2017 to get a playoff point. It's been a good night for William Byron. He was the top series regular in stage 1, second in stage 2. Elliott Sadler, Ben Kennedy, Ryan Sieg also up there. Great effort for Jeremy Clements, Justin Allgaier, Ryan Reed, and Dakota Armstrong. Few of those drivers elected to stay out when we got that caution prior to the end of stage 2. They'll have to pit here, but you can't celebrate enough a stage win for Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, huge deal for him. And we saw early on in stage 1, he hit pit road for an adjustment, so he was not happy with his race car. To get a playoff point out of this night, that's a good deal for him. He's gotten quicker and quicker as the night has gone on.
Yeah, 4 of our 8 drivers that stayed out and did not pit got stage points, so good move by those guys.
And that caution prior to the end of the stage there was for Ty Majeski and Kyle Benjamin. Both met minimum speed. The 18 has since gone to the garage to make some mechanical changes there. He can come back out because he met minimum speed. Here they come, the guys that stayed out getting their service now, Hermie.
Brendan Gaughan and his team have made some tremendous progress on this race car. The first couple green flag runs, the car was so loose, could not drive it. They came in a couple times without tires, made some adjustments. Much better race car now for Brendan Gaughan.
So Gaughan and others come down pit road here. It cycles through. We'll put William Byron in the race lead as we begin the final stage under green. Christopher Bell, Elliott Sadler, Ben Kennedy, Justin Allgaier, the other drivers up there in the top 5. Let's hear from driver 62. Big stage winner, Regan.
Yeah, Brendan, this is Regan in the FS1 booth. Have you got me?
Hello, Mr. Regan Smith. How are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing good, but it looks like you're doing even better. You just got an all-important playoff point. We saw you on pit road early in stage 1 working on that race car. Obviously, it's dialed up the way you want it to be here.
Shane Wilson's a miracle worker, bud. But when you got the title sponsor on the hood, Regan, you got to perform. And E15 wasn't looking very good early, but Shane Wilson's turned it around and played a little strategy there. And we're trying to get some playoff points, man. The South Point Chevy, or the American Ethanol Chevy, is going to start working our way through the pack this summer, and those are really important when it comes down to the fall. So really excited we finally got one.
Well, hey, we've had fun watching you. Keep it up tonight, and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks, King. I appreciate it.
So we got a couple of different strategies here, but when it's all said and done, 30 cars on the lead lap for the final stage. It's a gorgeous night at Iowa Speedway. About time to go green in the final stage here at Iowa. William Byron leads this thing, and now we take a listen as Jefferson Hodges gets frustrated trying to help his driver Sam Hornish Jr. worry less with a Liberty Mutual Insurance spotter
in line
coverage.
with you. Come and look into your inside. He's there at your bumper, just barely. Inside. There's a lap car on the bottom, 10 ahead. What a jackass.
You ever hear those?
Man. Hold the brake.
You ever hear those words from your spotter, Regan, as we look at the Liberty Mutual spotter stand?
Anytime my spotter and I are talking about donkeys, it's never a very good thing. That means something bad has happened. Obviously, something bad happened right there.
We don't do radioactive for the Xfinity Series on NASCAR Race Hub weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, but I think that would have qualified as a radio sweetheart.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And we got a big Race Hub lineup this week, including Wednesday, when we are going to honor the King, Richard Petty, who's a week away from celebrating his 80th birthday. Tune in every night, but Wednesday night in particular, it's going to be one special evening.
The King is turning 80 years old, and I can tell you this, he does not act 80 at all. He acts way younger than what he is.
Outside lane for William Byron on this restart. Christopher Bell down low. Sadler, Kennedy, Allgaier, the other drivers in the top 5. It's the final stage at Iowa. Here they come to the Geico restart zone.
Green.
Talk about the guys in the spotter stand. They're having an anxiety attack right now, including for those at the front. Byron outside, Bell inside, and look who's behind him. The deuce, Ben Kennedy making a play.
William Byron used the middle of the racetrack to get the advantage that time on Christopher Bell, 2, 3, and 4.
And a little bit of adjustment to Byron's car since that last run that we saw. He fired off good early last time, and he's firing off good here. We'll have to see if it stays a little bit longer for him. Christopher Bell was able to get by him after a few laps last time.
And remind everyone, a couple of different strategies here. Brendan Gaughan stayed out. We had that caution right toward the end of stage 2. He made his pit stop, restarted 20th. He's 16, lost some track position, trying to get it back. Look at this gaggle. The 19 of Matt Tiff, the 33 is Brandon Jones, and that's Blake Cook in the 11, 3 wide to turn 3.
I'm telling you, this is as good a racing as we've seen in a long time. These guys have been 3 wide just about since the drop of the green flag.
It's right around the 10th position on track. Cole Custer there in the 00, and there's Brendan Gaughan. A little bit fresher tires trying to erase the track position deficit.
And we were talking about that during the break. 3 or 4 laps matters here at this racetrack.
It absolutely does. You only need 2 laps basically to get the speed that you want out of those tires compared to the other guys. While we got a great battle for the lead here. Talk about 2 teammates, William Byron and Elliott Sadler, going at it right now.
Heartbreak for both of these guys last week, 2nd and 3rd respectively to Denny Hamlin at Michigan. Now they're racing for the top spot in Iowa. Sadler qualified 4th, dropped to the rear, unapproved adjustments. Drove to the top 10 by the end of stage 1. He's been a player ever since and trying to get around his rookie teammate. And Christopher Bell's got a front row seat for it all.
Bell's going to try to make that bottom work once again. It's hard to maintain the momentum from the bottom side like you can from the top side, like Elliott Sadler is doing.
Yeah, just those 4 feet that you lose if you have a car on the outside of you is enough to kill your momentum. You try to get up on their door like you would at a bigger racetrack and side draft them just a little bit. That does work some here, but it's not quite as effective as it would be at maybe a Michigan or someplace like that.
Bell going to slide into 2nd. You know what's been great tonight? We talk about the importance of track position, and even though this is a short track, clean air, because it does have some speedway characteristics, the leader has never gotten away tonight.
No, we've seen close battling all night long, and really the entire pack from front to back has been very tight, something that you don't always see when you come to Iowa.
I'll give a call to some other guys in the top 10 as we see Bell looking for the race lead. Can't do it here. So he follows Byron into the corner. Ryan Reed's been in the top 10 all night long. Hemrick's up there. Tyler Reddick looking for his 2nd career top 10. Matt Tiff's been strong lately in the 19. He's 9th right now.
As we watch these guys battle up front and we talk youth versus experience, which we really highlighted earlier in the race, we see Elliott Sadler drop back just a little bit right there. I have to wonder if maybe he's saving some tires, saying, boys, you go have some fun up front there, battle hard, because in 20 laps I'm going to come blasting by you here.
And we know everyone has to pit one more time. All these teams should have one more set of tires in their pit area, and that window is going to open up somewhere around 90 laps to go. It's Garrett Smithley in the 0, J.J. Yaley in the 14, Jeremy Clements in the 51, Dakota Armstrong is there. This is right around 20th.
We've been 3 and 4 wide more tonight than we are at Daytona and Talladega sometimes. This is a lot of fun.
Hey, look at Michael Annette in the 5. You saw him in your picture. The hometown kid celebrated his 31st birthday yesterday. Talk about the future of NASCAR. And I look at these two and what they've accomplished, the great year that William Byron had a year ago driving for Kyle Busch, what Christopher Bell is doing now. They're racing for the lead left of your screen. On the right side for 4th, Justin Allgaier around Ben Kennedy.
That was a great move by Justin Allgaier. Just cleared Ben Kennedy at the exit of turn 4. See Christopher Bell trying to make that bottom of the racetrack work. I was talking to him in the garage today. He said, I was so excited when the top side came in last night. That really gave us options. He said, I can't wait to see if it comes in tonight. It's come in.
Yeah, it's come in, but the challenge for him is he's got to go to the bottom to get past William Byron because the top is taken. You don't want to go too much higher and risk getting up into the marbles on the top side of the racetrack.
We saw Johnny Sauter able to hold on to a 2nd place finish last night by going up top with older tires than just about everybody around him. I think you're right. I think William Byron just absolutely does not need to let Christopher Bell get to his outside.
I also agree with you that Elliott Sadler's laying back there in the weeds in 3rd, saying, go ahead, fellas, run those tires off. I'll come get you. And he may be chasing Christopher Bell for the lead because he goes down inside of William Byron. The 9 now 2nd, Vince.
Yeah, the William Byron's not running badly. The car, in fact, has reacted positively after they made that right rear air pressure adjustment on the last stop. But Christopher Bell was just beating Byron in the center of 3 and 4, and they told him on the radio, that's where you're getting beat. He's able to drive off the corner, and you're not. And that's why Byron is now in second.
Maybe he'll play that tire conservation game. Let Bell go run his tires off. Just over 100 laps to go. It's been an unbelievable night at Iowa Speedway. Christopher Bell has led 76, and he's out front right now.
Can't thank everybody up here enough, and everybody at the shop.
I'd like to say thank you to them. They're watching at home and in the stands.
Thanks to Lance Corporal Daniel F. Swain.
I want to thank the Army, the Navy,
Lance Corporal Scott Harper and the local VA.
Master Sergeant Anthony Ray Charles Yost.
Corporal John Harrison Keener Jr.
And Petty Officer Joshua Thomas Harris.
I just want to thank the Marines.
I'd like to thank the USO.
I just want to thank the Air Force.
And Lance Corporal Taylor Przenski.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The land of the free, because of the brave.
Bush. It has the same great taste it's always had, even the same sound. Bush.
What goes around comes around. And as a sport that races in laps, we know that a clean race pays off in the finish. It's why NASCAR commits to green programs and biofuel like Sunoco Green E15, so we can offset our carbon emissions. We're not going to stop making a difference, and neither should you. Learn how you can help by visiting NASCAR.com/green today.
Tip the cap. Let's start the show. The best of the bigs are ready to go.
Unbelievable. What a night.
The MLB All-Star Game, July 11th on Fox.
Wine country, where wines are savored, sought after, or just sprayed wildly.
And the plot thickens here at Iowa. Under caution for the 6th time tonight, Ty Majeski got in the wall. Here's the question. 104 laps to go. We're just outside the fuel window. Do you pit here, get that last set of tires, knowing that this place has had a green flag tendency to end it? Or do you stay out and maintain track position and hope you get a caution later in the race?
I like to stay out. We've been arguing during the commercial break. Regan said, I think at least you ought to come in and top off, because these guys can probably stretch it. We know the fuel window's around 95 laps. They'll come in with 102 laps to go. They can stretch it that much, and I agree they can, but I definitely don't want to put the tires on now, Regan, with over 100 laps to go.
I think the one thing we can agree on is I don't want the tires right now as a driver. I want to save them for the end. We see how much they've mattered tonight, and sticker tires can get you a lot of places fast, but if you're in your fuel window, you have to stop and get the fuel right now. I mean, to me, there's no other choice.
We saw Shane Wilson, Brendan Gaughan mix it up earlier, right? And in the end, it got them a stage victory. They're running 14th. They're not going to come through the field and win this race right now the way it is. Why not pit here, get your tires, and hope it stays green, and you can steal one tonight? What do you think of that strategy?
You're putting all your cards on the table quick right there if you do that, because if you do get a caution with 30 to go, 40 to go, something like that, you're in big trouble. You're going to finish basically a lap down almost. You're going to lose that much track position.
Where does Brendan Gaughan live?
That's a very good point. He likes the gambling a little bit.
All right, so here's the reason for the caution. I told you it was Ty Majeski. You saw him on pit road there, got into the wall up in turn 2.
Yeah, probably had a tire rub resulting from that damage he had earlier. They are trying to pick his car up on pit road right now. There's a tail end of it as well. So the pit road remains closed. Every one of these laps that they ride around on the caution is going to help these guys get closer to their window. Right now, we're 102 laps to go. They come back around, it's going to be 101 laps to go. So I think these guys have gotten so good at stretching fuel, Regan. You know that I think if the pit window's 95, they can definitely make it from here.
And there's so many tricks inside the race car that you can do. If the crew chiefs told us before the race we can make it 95 laps, in their gut they're thinking we can probably go 105 if we have to. We can tell our driver to lift at the start-finish line, push that clutch in, shut the motor down when you're racing under green flag. When you're under caution, you do that anyways. Right from the time that you fire the motors on this racetrack, you're in fuel conservation mode. You'll hear the guys fire the motors up, shut them off right away. That helps on pit stops later on in the race when you're trying to save fuel. You're just doing it under caution flag, riding around here and basically coasting. And half these motors will be shut off here very shortly if they do come get fuel.
They pulled Majeski's car away on pit road. The light right now is still red. So we're going to make one more circuit. And at the very earliest, we would have 101 laps to go when they come down pit road. There you see the pit road light flashing red. Here are the drivers that I'm thinking about. Scott Lagasse is 13th. Brendan Gaughan is 14th. Brandon Jones in 15th. Spencer Gallagher, another driver from Las Vegas who knows how to gamble, back there in the 16th position. I know Cowboy Kevin Starlin, they don't mind messing around with that 39 team. Ryan Sieg is 17th. Those are the kinds of teams that I think have a chance here to roll the dice, and if everything plays out, they could get it done.
I love the strategy for some of those guys, maybe outside the top 10 or 12, to put tires on and roll the dice and see if this thing maybe goes green the rest of the way.
All right, well, we'll find out here because pit road's going to be open. I said there's going to be 101 to go when they make their pit stop. Actually, as they've come around, there's going to be 100 laps to go.
That's a nice even number.
Yeah, if and when they make their way down to pit lane.
The one thing we haven't talked about, these guys could take these tires off right here and glue them back up if they needed to. That is a possibility to use these tires later in the race again.
Yeah, they only have about 30 green flag laps on them, maybe even less than that. So it's not that they won't be able to use these tires. How about those guys staying out here? Who's the first one going to come down pit road?
A lot of them staying out. Brandon
stays out. That's a lap car right there.
J.J. Yaley in the 14. Michael Annett.
Dylan Lupton.
B.J. McLeod. A roll of the dice here. Everybody else going conservative. Said, hey, we're outside the window. We don't want to put the tires on. Would have been fun to watch, though. I think we sold it well. What do you guys think?
We did.
I was rooting for him.
And I got to be honest, I'm surprised a couple of guys did not at least come get fuel just to take that chance.
Well, we know how important tires are, and this pays off that. You don't want to use them now. Got to save them till later. Under caution for the 6th time, Christopher Bell leading at Iowa. Going to be 97 laps to go when we return to the green flag at Iowa. Row 1, Christopher Bell, William Byron. Bell takes the outside lane. Row 2, teammates at Junior Motorsports, 1-2 in points. Elliott Sadler, Justin Allgaier. Row 3, RCR teammates, Ben Kennedy, Daniel Hemrick. And that 20 car exploding in the outside lane to the lead, and the 9 dropping back. Daniel Hemrick up to 3rd.
Yeah, a very, very poor restart by William Byron that time. Sideways off of turn 2 as well.
Up to 42, Tyler Reddick. Part-time opportunity for him. Could be full-time next season. Who's Kyle Larson? It's all about Tyler Reddick in the 42 tonight.
And he's had some success here in the past. He's run the truck races for the past couple of years, had some very good runs here. So it shouldn't be a surprise to us to see him up there.
And this is his kind of track, because you just let it all hang out, and that's what he loves, it on the edge.
Yeah, he does not mind driving a loose vehicle. That's what a lot of these guys are fighting here tonight.
3 wide. We've seen it many times this evening. That's Tiff down low in the 19, trying to get the 12th spot on track. Chastain in the 4 has hung tough all night long for JD Motorsports.
How about Spencer Gallagher? He made an unscheduled pit stop early in the race, parlayed that into a free pass, and here he is now just outside the top 10.
Another rookie looking for a top 10. It was great earlier this year at Richmond. I think it was his only top 10 of the year. He likes these short tracks.
A little bit of a new design for that car, that chassis for Spencer Gallagher, and it's showing some speed here. William Byron getting that spot back from Tyler Reddick, making his way back up towards the front. front, put him in fourth.
Yeah, I had to wonder if he had a problem after that restart, but it appears he just spun his tires. When we saw him get so loose off of turn 2, I questioned for a second if maybe he had a tire going down or something like that, but obviously he didn't. That car's starting to come back to him. He's got some work to do now to get back up to the front, though.
When these guys stay out there on hot tires, it really picks up all that debris on this racetrack. And he had a bit of a tough start, Vince.
Well, for William Byron and Regan, you hit the nail on the head. Loose. That's been the big issue for the 9 car. In fact, they contemplated coming down on that last yellow to come down and make a track bar adjustment to help him with his balance a little bit and forego the tires, of course, but just to make the adjustment, decided not to, and that ended up being the right move. But he has a really loose race car right now.
His teammate just behind him on track, Elliott Sadler, started the back, 38th actually. Unapproved adjustments after qualifying 4th. Driven through the field in his 5th. And we haven't said his name as often tonight, but a couple of positions behind Sadler, the other headliner that went to the rear, 0 of Cole Custer, who is 7th in the running order. And here's Brendan Gaughan. Remember their game, stay out with that caution toward the end of stage 2. Win the stage, did that. Came down pit road, got their service. Restarted 20th. He has now surfaced inside the top 10.
Yeah, Brendan, he said that Shane Wilson really has him fixed up, has a good race car right here.
And Brendan, a guy that loves the top side, whenever the racetrack comes in like this up to the top or even the middle, it just seems like it suits his style and it works out well for him, but they've done a nice job working all night long to get him back to the front and keep him up there, as we've seen earlier on.
See Matt Tiff, the 19, moving in on Brendan Gaughan. Matt's holding down that 10th spot right now. Goes to the outside. It's hard to get to the outside of Brendan Gaughan. Didn't quite make it.
You're flirting with disaster when you get up to the outside of Brendan Gaughan.
Caution out, 7th time tonight. There it is, Spencer Gallagher. I got Kyle Benjamin. You got Spencer Gallagher. I was talking about how great Benjamin was doing. Regan added his thoughts. He spins and ends his night for the most part, and here's Gallagher.
Well, we can't go to the rest of the show without talking about anybody.
Dexter Bean also with some damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Crash claims are us.
A fitting sponsor with 88 laps to go on the 90 car.
Unfortunately, pretty appropriate.
Have to wonder if those two incidents weren't possibly connected somehow with each other there.
So I look at the lap counter. It says 88 laps to go. Could be a strategy play here. We'll get to that in a moment. First, the replay of caution number 7.
Looks like Spencer just lost it on his own up on the top side there. Maybe jumped the cushion just a little bit, possibly.
I don't know. Looked like maybe the 16 of Ryan Reed was in the proximity with a 23 car. Couldn't tell if there was any contact or not.
Well, I swore there was contact earlier. Regan Smith says absolutely not. It was an aero deal, so I'd believe anything. Tough break for Gallagher, who was running 12th, singing his praises. Goes for a slide. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he just got a little, maybe got a little bit high.
There's Dexter Bean,
That was
top of your screen.
Almost separate, really, from the Spencer Gallagher incident.
The only thing I have to wonder on the Gallagher incident, if possibly there was a little contact that we didn't see. We see him going up the track sideways already. Maybe they made contact even earlier in the corner back towards the entry or something.
Yeah, quite possible.
All right, so there's 28 cars on the lead lap. 87 laps to go. I won't say we're comfortably inside the fuel window,
pretty comfortably inside,
we're right there. So what do you think now? Because we know this thing has a history of a long green flag run. Do you come here and get the tires?
I wanted fuel 10 laps ago, if you ask me. So I'm fine with pitting right now. The tires, I still don't want the tires right now, but give me the fuel just in case we need it.
Guys, I talked to a lot of the crew chiefs in the garage area, and they said when the window opens to get to the end, we're afraid not to put the tires on. And it's a little bit different for the guys that are racing for a championship than the interlopers that aren't, because they may can gamble a little bit more, but the guys like William Byron's crew chief, I talked to him and I talked to some of the other crew chiefs, and they said, I'm afraid not to put my tires on when the window opens in case we get that long green flag run. We know we can always put those other tires on, and right now they only have probably 40 green flag laps on them.
Ty Majeski making his series debut here tonight. for Roush Fenway, and he has been released from the care center. So good news there after a crash about 15, 20 laps ago. Pit road going to be open this time, and they would pit with 85 laps remaining. We'll see what they do. Honestly, I hope about half of them pit and half of them stay out. That's what I'm rooting for. The leaders drive right by. Here comes Ryan Reed.
He's the first guy to come down. Ryan Reed's going to give up the 12th spot.
You got a few others coming behind him. Quinn Houff, Jeremy Clements, making a strategy play. And if you're Phil Gould, why not come here with Ryan Reed? They already have a win locked into the playoffs. They can afford to play some strategy.
The guys that want to gamble, I think that's a great gamble.
I think for that team, that's a good move to make right there. Go ahead and put your tires on, and in the event that we get that long run that we're known to get at Iowa occasionally, he's all of a sudden sitting really pretty.
And he's got a pretty good car. He's been able to stay right around the top 10. Spent a lot of time this race in the top 10, so I think it's a good move.
I think as good as their car has been, he should be able to drive back up close to the top 15 on these tires, maybe even the top 12 when you look at some of those guys that will be between him and the top 10. Now Kyle Benjamin is way out of this thing. Spent some time in the garage. Once you put those tires below the orange box, you can't go back. He didn't touch the orange box. Maybe he could use that as defense.
Well, I think there could have been 2 or 3 other cars outside of him and still not got to the orange box.
Well, the good news for Kyle Benjamin is he's having a little bit of a rough night already. That's something he can look back on and learn before his next race when he comes back to Iowa again.
There's no doubt. He's 19 out of Easley, South Carolina. A lot of talent, a lot of speed. Just hadn't been able to finish these races so far.
Copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Ready to go green once again at Iowa. 82 laps to go. A reminder, this NASCAR weekend really just getting started. The fun continues on FS1. Tomorrow we're live in Northern California. First road course race of the year for the Monster Energy Series. It's the Toyota Save Mart 350. Our coverage begins with race day, 1:30 Eastern time. And as always, you're going to watch it over at Fox Sports Go. Ryan Reed just came back down pit road. Little adversity for that team as they had an uncontrolled tire. He'll have to start at the rear. Meanwhile, here's the front row for tomorrow. Kyle Larson, 4th career pole, and Jamie McMurray, a qualifying machine on the road courses. And what did you say about him on Race Hub this week?
I might have picked him on Race Hub. We were talking about Chevy drivers, but I definitely think he's got a shot.
All right, Christopher Bell out front on the restart. 81 remaining, and after he gets the lead, they go 3 wide. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, maybe something to do with that bottom group. Justin Allgaier did not get a start, just like William Byron that last restart from the bottom.
Byron all the way back in 7th now. Tyler Reddick in the top 5. How about threading the needle to get up the 3rd here?
Daniel Hemrick, the 21, the Blue Gate Chevy on the inside, racing Allgaier with a Brandt Chevy.
Hemrick's had a great weekend.
Sure has.
You know, he's had a great season when you really look at it as a whole. He's had speed everywhere and seems to really be the flagship car of those RCR cars on a lot of weekends.
Let's keep an eye on Ryan Reed. Fresh tires, had to drop to the tail because of the uncontrolled tire. He's 26th right now. We'll continue to monitor his progress side by side here for 10th. That's gone in the 62. The 11 is Blake Cook.
Brendan Poole, the 48. He's the one on the extreme outside the blue car. There's the yellow car, Brandon Jones. There's a battle for the 6th spot. Ben Kennedy's been solid all night too. William Byron, our leader for much of this race. 52 laps. William Byron's been out front.
All right, so go back to Ryan Reed. They came down pit road, made their pit stop, and their strategy was to get the tires and try to make a run through the field, be done for the night. Once they got the penalty, they came back down pit road.
Yeah, they came back down pit road. We saw them take those sticker tires back off of that race car. We don't know what tires they put back on, but it obviously wasn't stickers. They wanted to save those tires until they were up further in the pack and didn't have to use them up going through the back of the field.
Well, he is aggressive, though. And you know he's disappointed because they lost all of that additional track position when the tire got away. What's the story there, Caitlin?
Well, yeah, Regan, like you said, originally they put on their last set of sticker tires. When they came back down onto pit road, they put on a set of scuffs. They want to try and save those sticker tires in case we do have another caution, which they believe that we will, guys.
Yeah, I think once they have that penalty, I think it's a good move. Let's don't use up these new tires going all the way from the back. Let's make our move back up towards somewhere near the top 15 when we can put those tires on.
And that's the biggest challenge. You would waste the tires by the time you got through the first 15 cars you had to pass, of which many are lap cars that aren't for position anyways.
I'm impressed on the older tires, though, how good he's done making up positions to 22nd.
How about this run by Daniel Hemrick? Remember yesterday during practice, he had an issue, actually caught on fire, the brake ducts and stuff like that. He made a 35-lap run, which is probably the longest run we saw by anybody. You see, the brake ducts caught on fire. Just as a precaution, I was talking to his crew chief, Danny Stockman, and he said we changed the calipers, the rotors, everything to do with the brake lines, just to make sure he's got a good race car here.
He's been really good.
Yeah, you always want to pay it off for your team when you work that hard overnight and you have a problem like that. To go out there as a driver, and there's nothing that feels better than to have a good run for those guys and keeps them pumped up. What do you got down there for us, Hermie? Something about the 7 car?
Yeah, Regan, as you well know, it's a constant battle to get the balance right, especially with a changing racetrack. The 7 has been on both sides of it. Way too loose the first couple times down pit road. Now the car will not turn as well as Dustin would like it through the center of the corner. So he's going to try to hold his track position right here in front of Daniel Hemrick. And when they come back to pit road, look for them to free this car up through the center for the run to the checkers.
All right, thank you, Hermie. Justin Allgaier is 3rd. Daniel Hemrick is 4th. Well, let's just take a look at those top 5. Christopher Bell started on the pole tonight. Won stage 1. He's led 111 laps. That 20 car has been really strong. It's his 2nd career start. 2nd right now, Elliott Sadler. Started at the rear, qualified 4th, unapproved adjustments, but he too has a fast race car. We talked about the battle for 3rd. Allgaier is there now. Hemrick right behind. And the final car inside the top 5, Tyler Reddick. So good here in the Camping World Truck Series. Really good tonight in the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing. Then it's William Byron who's led laps tonight. On board with him here as he tries to get back inside the top 5. Currently scored in 6th. Ben Kennedy 7th behind him. Not a great qualifying effort for Kennedy, but he's trying to go top 10 for a 2nd consecutive season driving that 2 car for Richard Childress Racing. And every time we look at the top 10, Matt Tifft is there. The 19 car has had speed this weekend. They are 8th with 70 laps to go. Brendan Gaughan has had 14 different strategies tonight. He won stage 2. Everything has worked out. And the guy out of Las Vegas is currently 9th. And Cole Custer, another driver that started at the rear, a rookie, making his first start in Iowa in the Xfinity Series, rounds out the top 10. A lot of great storylines there.
Yeah, Cole Custer, one of those guys with a win here in the K&N Series. You know, we talked about that last night during the truck race. A lot of these young guys here have some experience, whether it be in the K&N Series or the Truck Series or the ARCA Racing Series. We see a lot of guys that come to this level with experience at this racetrack. Not all the mile and a half do. They have some experience, but they all have experience here.
Yeah, and you can't say enough good things about what Cole's done this year. That's a brand new race team. I mean, there's basically a team that had to be built from the ground up, and yes, they get some help from Kevin Harvick running a couple races here or there, but he's the one that's had to make a lot of the right decisions with that team.
You know, we said it earlier, but he had wrecked some race cars early in the year, had some DNFs, off to a bit of a troubling start. They got the 2 weeks off in early May, hit the reset button, and since we went green on 20 consecutive weeks of competition at Charlotte Motor Speedway Memorial Day weekend, that team has not been outside the top 10. The reset has done them a lot of good, to Regan's point, a first-year operation.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, 3 times this year they've been the top finishing Xfinity driver. Justin Allgaier has been that top finisher 4 times, and that's the most in the series.
We've got one heck of a battle that's been going on here for 5th place. Every lap, William Byron trying to get to the inside and finish off a pass with Tyler Reddick. I think he's probably a little bit quicker right now, but to that point, the outside keeps that momentum up, and you need that extra 4 feet when you're the car on the bottom to get up to the wall and really get your car going. That's what makes it so much fun to watch here at Iowa, is when the outside lane comes in like it has, it makes it a challenge on everybody.
And I think there's a little bit of a sense of urgency because they've fallen almost 3 seconds behind the 4th place car of Daniel Hemrick.
You know, it's a cool night here, low 50s in the overnight in Newton, Iowa for this evening. But how physically demanding is this place? Because I know that the track surface is rough, and these guys have been in and around each other all night long.
Yeah, well, we see how much these cars are moving around. We talk about the bumps here. You're fighting this race car a lot. This is not a racetrack that basically is smooth and allows you to just be really easy with the wheel. Every time you go into the corner, you're turning 3 or 4 times, even if you're happy with your race car. So it's a physically demanding racetrack. The coolness does help out just a little bit.
We saw it during qualifying. Even with brand new tires, these guys are fighting these things to try to make some speed.
And to that point, look at him working that steering wheel. He is on top of that steering wheel trying to manage that right rear tire and keep that car underneath him all the way through the corner. The bumps help make that a problem, but the handling of the race car in general and these tires on this racetrack do that as well.
Kind of joked about the varying strategies, but with 63 laps to go, should remind everyone that each of these drivers are going to have to make one more pit stop. There's a few that have come down pit road and won't have to pit again, but the guys in the top 16, 17 will, Vince.
Yeah, and I love what you guys were talking about earlier in regards to Cole Custer and the progression that he's made is interesting. As crew chief Jeff Mendering telling me earlier that they feel like the biggest strides they've made have just been with their own communication. They took some of the guys from the truck team a year ago that Cole ran for. A couple of them are on the road, others back at the shop. Got to piece together this group, a first-year team, as Regan noted, and just the communication between crew chief and driver. And now that it has gotten better, you're seeing those better results that Adam was referring to.
Well, and give a call to Jeff Mendering, who had been over on the Cup side. He's a rookie crew chief in the Xfinity series, and when I saw him yesterday morning in the garage, I said, "You've probably never been to this racetrack." He said, "I hadn't been in the state of Iowa before this morning when we flew in." He's done a nice job as well.
Yeah, he really has, and he's done a nice job of managing a rookie driver and a rookie team.
Give a call to these guys in the top 15. You got Ross Chastain there, that Georgia Watermelon Association car, the 39 of Ryan Sieg, who just got around him.
Dakota Armstrong has also been strong with a 28 car for JGL Motorsports.
Seems like every week Ross Chastain and Ryan Sieg are guys that get more out of their car than what maybe they should. They just doesn't matter where they're at. Ross Chastain, even in the Cup race, did a really nice job a couple weeks ago, as did Ryan Sieg.
See that wiggle out of the 42 when Ben Kennedy went around in the 2 machine? On board with William Byron, back to 8th now.
Well, Matt Tifft is making a move here up to the 6th spot, trying to go after Ben Kennedy for a top 5.
It's amazing what confidence will do, you know? Okay, 58 laps to go. When's that next caution going to come? Because there's a few drivers that need it fairly soon. Christopher Bell leading at Iowa. 51 laps to go. The Xfinity teams racing for the 14th time in 2017. It's their 15th appearance at Iowa Speedway. Christopher Bell, the race leader, in lap traffic. And it won't be long before the guys up front are making scheduled green flag pit stops. Our math says they'll have to come in the next 10 to 12 laps. Not everybody, though, needs to make a pit stop. Dylan Lupton came at lap 165. He is 16th. And the best of those drivers that could go the distance should it stay green.
Yeah, I think right now every one of these guys wishes they would have come down on that lap 165 caution, at least put a little bit of fuel in them. I was wanting, most of the crew chiefs said when we get in our window, we're afraid not to put tires on, but nobody came to pit road and put tires on. But guys, I really want to give a call to Jacob Cantor. He's a crew chief for Christopher Bell. Preston to duty with Chris Gabehart being suspended. There he is, right side of your screen. He runs the test team over at Gibbs. And then I know Steve D'Souza, who runs the Xfinity operation over there, has already tried to get them to let him have him full time, and they're fighting him over there at Gibbs. But what an outstanding job. Rudy Fugle right there, right side of your screen, helping out with a call here. But what an outstanding job that they've done with this race car here tonight.
And that shows the depth of the entire Gibbs organization. I mean, we've got a guy in the car, and Christopher Bell, who's a rookie, has a rookie crew chief, and they're out there leading this race and really doing a nice job tonight. So props to the entire organization over there.
Here he is going around Jeremy Clements to put Clements a lap down. Clements scored in the 19th position. What a difference a week makes, huh? You win at Michigan, 3rd win of the year for the 20. You find out on Wednesday that win is encumbered and your crew chief, Chris Gabehart, is suspended. You come here with a 22-year-old driver making his second career start, and Christopher Bell doing an outstanding job from the pole and leading this thing. And here's Scott Lagasse Jr. on pit road. This would be a scheduled stop with 46 laps to go. He was running 19th when he gave up the track position, and they might have bigger problems than just getting fuel here.
Yeah.
Look at Cole Custer making it 3 wide. Now the 23 is not racing for position, but Tyler Reddick is 10th right now. So Custer trying to get back in the top 10, and here comes Brandon Jones.
Yeah, the 23 of Spencer Gallagher made a couple unscheduled pit stops after that accident. He's being shown right now 4 laps down. So many crew chiefs. There's about, what do you figure, 20 crew chiefs down in the garage here right now just praying that a caution will come out.
There's a lot of crew chiefs and spotters that are thinking they see debris right now because these guys are going to have to make green flag stops here very, very soon.
When we were here last July, this thing went 93 laps of green to end it. The winner was Eric Jones in the 20. Bell leading in the 20 now, but likely going to have to pit soon.
I like the strategy of coming in and getting those tires once we get in their fuel window. A lot of the crew chiefs in the garage here told me that's what they were going to do. They were afraid not to because just this such thing happening with these long green flags run. Now, obviously, we have a lot more laps left, but not a lot of laps left before these guys have to be on pit road for a green flag pit stop.
But let me set you up who might be in the catbird seat here should it stay green. Dylan Lupton is 15th. He's in the best position of those drivers that have made a pit stop that would be in their window. Now, here's the problem. He's a good ways behind our race leader, 18 seconds behind right now. So when Christopher Bell comes down pit road, gets his service, he's going to put on 4 tires and is going to be way faster than those guys that have already pitted. It may be difficult for the strategy of already having pitted to work out for a win, but they are going to set themselves up for a great finish here tonight.
Yeah, they'll absolutely set up for a great finish. And, you know, what they're hoping is that after this cycles through and everybody pits, they trap enough cars a lap down to where they can force the hand of some guys to have to take a waiver on. They'll need it to go 10 or 15 laps so they have fresher tires when they do finally pit for their last set of tires.
Yeah, and if you get a caution with 10 to go and everybody else has made their pit stop and put their final set of tires on, could play into the hands of a guy like a Ryan Reed or Dylan Lupton.
Yeah, new tires could beat King here for sure. Good battle for the 3rd spot. Daniel Hemrick, the 21 on the bottom, trying to get by the 7. Of course, we've said that now for about the last 70 laps that they've been battling for 3rd.
They've been connected at the hip. Great night for Junior Motorsports. All three of their entries, I should say, inside the top 7. It's not been a great homecoming for Michael Annette. He's a lap down back in 21st. The advantage for Christopher Bell, just over a second. So Sadler really isn't going away. Allgaier 7 seconds back in 3rd. Hemrick right there as well, as you see in 4th. Next would be Ben Kennedy.
We're on the verge of these guys having to come to pit road. They last pitted on lap 114. The majority of them, Brendan Gaughan, who's running in the 8th spot, as you mentioned, he has 10 more laps of fuel than they do.
He's the one that could really have things go his way. Pass-through penalty for the 18 of Kyle Benjamin. He's struggled here tonight with a couple of issues, but did get another penalty. He's right now 9 laps down. But I think about Brendan Gaughan, those 10 extra laps that he has in the bank in regard to fuel mileage, these guys start making green flag pit stops. Caution comes at the right time. There's a driver that played some great strategy to win stage 2 and could put himself in great position with a timely caution to win this race.
He could absolutely leapfrog his way to the front of the pack. If the caution comes within those few laps right there, he'll be hoping for that as this pit strategy starts happening.
Sadler was a second back, 2 seconds now in dropping. Caitlin, here he comes. What's the story?
Yeah, he just came across the radio and said, I think that I have lost a cylinder. And they're going to go ahead and bring him down pit road. Before that, he had said that the track was really starting to loosen up, but that's what Elliott said so far, as he thinks he's losing the cylinder.
I hate that for Elliott Sadler.
4 tires, a tear off there as well. Making a track bar adjustment also on the 1.
Yeah, you can see the frustration. The hand banging the steering wheel, the head shake for Elliott Sadler. So right of your screen, Christopher Bell, the race leader, is working on Ross Chastain to put him a lap down. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier in the top 5 on pit road, Hermie.
He had lost the right rear of this 7 car and started to fade a little bit. Coming down pit road, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel wedge into the left rear. Also the 21 car, Daniel Hemrick getting his service. Right sides are done, left sides are down. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires for Daniel Hemrick.
These are scheduled green flag pit stops. Ross Chastain doing a great job of staying in front of the 20 car of Christopher Bell. And here comes the 2 of Ben Kennedy, Vince.
What a great job Kennedy has done, and Randall Burnett has given him a fine piece. It has been bad fast tonight. It's a little bit free. They're going to tighten him up just a little bit for this stretch run. Put those 4 tires on it, but a very strong run for this 2 team and Ben Kennedy tonight.
Really has been. Second start of the year was top 5 in that 2 car for RCR at Talladega. And when I say second start, I mean driving the 2 car. 3 starts for GMS as well in the 96. Brandon Jones getting his service. Here comes Cole Custer, was 10th. And Brendan Gaughan on pit road as well, Herm.
Slow on the left side. They had great strategy and really improved their race car, but that was a slow stop for the 62. The left front tire changer had an issue. Caution's out.
And there goes Ryan Reed spinning to bring out the caution for the 8th time tonight. It happened right by Christopher Bell, and he's got damage.
He got into the outside wall. Look at all the damage to that, to our leader.
Oh my, we're gonna have to go back and see exactly what happened.
Huge disappointment for Christopher Bell. He was doing a great job doing what he needed to do with that race car to keep it out front.
See some damage on the 48, left front tire down on Brennan Poole. Christopher Bell just an innocent victim over there. They had an incident. I think maybe the 48 had something to do with it, and the 16 got together over on the backstretch.
All right, so let's recount this thing. The 48 of Brennan Poole and the 16 of Ryan Reed get together, and the race leader nowhere to go.
48 made contact with the 16 of Reed, and the 48 came away from the 16, caught Christopher Bell in that right rear corner.
Such a tough break for Christopher Bell. He was definitely an innocent bystander on that one. You see the 48 get just a little bit loose. Probably didn't know that the 16 was coming with that much of a run to the outside of him right there.
You know, a decent amount of damage for Ryan Reed, but a great save. And as we look at the scoreboard here, he's still on the lead lap in 7th. We know he's got a set of tires. This is on board with Brennan Poole.
Inside 20, inside 4. Watch out.
Amazing job by Ross Chastain, the 4, to avoid that.
There's Poole on pit road. What do you see, Hermie?
A lot of damage to the left front. And these guys also had really gotten themselves in a pretty good spot. He's been way loose, especially on exit, pretty much all night. But they made some gains on the race car, but he's going to be lose a lot of track position when they get this car fixed. But I think he can continue, but certainly some damage to the left front.
He's top 10 in both races here a year ago, Hermie. One of the 4 drivers entered this weekend that was top 10 here in both races last season. You know, they put the tires on that car. The 20 doesn't look near as bad as I thought it was when he came to pit road.
He stayed on the lead lap. Christopher did a great job getting that back around, and Jacob's guys did a good job getting on and off pit road. Pit road is still closed right now. He will have to restart this race from the tail end because of pitting too early. But these guys that have not pitted yet, and there's just a couple of them on the racetrack, William Byron being one of them. He did not pit under green like the rest of the field. He has run now 107 laps. You can see him trying to save some fuel. 107 laps since his last caution.
He, Ryan Sieg, Dakota Armstrong, Ross Chastain, and the 99 of David Starr are the drivers that are yet to make a pit stop here.
And they're wanting pit road to get opened up sooner than later right here. They have got to be on absolute fumes. We see him getting down as low as he can on the racetrack right here. Just trying to make sure that that fuel cell's got all the fuel to the right side of it, and it doesn't starve it for fuel and cut the motor off on them.
And when I say they're the ones yet to make a pit stop, I'm referring to those on that long run that could be in danger of running out. We'll see a lot of drivers come down pit road that hadn't made their green flag stop in this cycle once they open up the pit lane as Bell continues to get work.
Yeah, William Byron and David Starr are the only two that pitted on lap number 114. We have several cars, Ryan Sieg, Dakota Armstrong, Ross Chastain, that pitted on lap 124. Pit road remains closed here. William will have to go around yet another lap.
One driver to watch, Tyler Reddick. He pitted at lap 218 3 laps ago. He has stayed on the lead lap his 7th. All those guys in front of him are going to make a pit stop. I believe once we go back green, he should be the race leader, and they got to be nervous as all get out in the 9 camp, Vince. It's been a long time since they've got fuel.
Well, they certainly would like to see the pit lane open up so they can come down, but crew chief Dave Ellens just told William Byron, our records show we've got a gallon in it, so we should be fine, but be ready for anything. And certainly when they come to pit road, they're going to tighten up that 9 race car. It has been crazy loose.
I would love to tell you who the favorites are right now, going in the last 25 laps of this thing. It's so hard to examine because the strategies are all over the board, and you have all different level of race cars throughout this lineup. We know Byron's leading. He's going to have to pit. Same for Ryan Sieg, Dakota Armstrong, who were 2nd and 3rd. Dylan Lupton last pitted at lap 165, but he's going to come here and get tires, and probably the same for Ross Chastain, who's in the top 5. Pit road's still closed.
Yeah, I think NASCAR may be trying to figure out the exact running order, but in the meantime, William Byron has got to be really anxious, trying to save some fuel. Again, now this will make him 109 laps since his pit stop. We had 28 laps since he last pitted, so he was able to save a lot of fuel on those caution laps, but that's still a long time, Regan.
Yeah, that's a lot of laps, and I know that Dave Ellens on top of that box, he's sweating bullets right now. I feel bad for him. He's probably screaming, open pit road, and just wait until they do.
Said it earlier, Byron won the truck race here last year, started 5th, and nearly got his first career victory in the Xfinity Series last week. Lost it to Denny Hamlin by 12 1/1000ths of the second. And it looks like pit road is going to open here, which is good news.
From that smile, could you tell from that smile?
They must have told Dave Ellens he was happy about that on the box.
He better not smile yet. That car is not in the pit box yet, so just wait till he gets there.
What this extended caution period has done is allowed Christopher Bell's crew time to work on that car, try to make some repairs, maybe even set the toe in, because he's only going to be, he's going to have to start from the tail end, but he's got a real fast race car.
Hey, Ryan Reed 6th, and he was a part of the spin that brought out the caution. Here comes Byron and others getting their service under caution with 26 laps to go, Vince.
Well, William Byron said on the radio as soon as that yellow came out, he said, wow, well, that worked out. Well, it worked out for them as well in regards to the fuel. Also, just enough fuel for the 9 as he makes his way down into the pit box. As I mentioned, it's been crazy loose, so they're going to go down a couple of rounds on the track bar to tighten up William Byron, put those 4 tires on it. Dave Ellens reminded William Byron multiple times, do not speed on pit road. Don't want that penalty. Smooth stop. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s pit crew, by the way, pitting the 9 tonight.
Came in leading and exits with the top spot as well, at least as far as how they came off the pit lane. We're going to have to see what driver stayed out. Dylan Lupton, I believe, is in that category. Brennan Poole and Christopher Bell, who we believe is going to have to start at the rear because of the penalties. He's scored in 3rd right now. Byron being scored in 4th, but a couple of things need to be sorted out officially on our scoring monitor. So we've reached 10 o'clock here locally, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. And we remind you, coming up next on FS1, it's the FIFA Confederations Cup tonight. A lot of soccer this summer on the Fox family of networks. Let's give a little reset now as they've come back around across the start-finish line. Up front, Dylan Lupton. He was 12th, driving that 24 nut-up Toyota for JGL at Richmond. A far different equation tonight, but keep in mind with him leading, he last pitted at lap 165. He's on much older tires. Brennan Poole, who actually was a part of that caution but came down and worked on his race car earlier, pitted at lap 222. He scored 2nd. and Christopher Bell is third, but I believe Poole also pitted too early. So both Poole and Bell are going to have to drop to the rear, and you see he's got more issues yet, the 48 of Brennan Poole. Then it's William Byron, Dakota Armstrong, and Ryan Sieg. Those are the guys that pitted when pit road opened. We'll reset this whole thing when we come back. 25 laps to go. All right, they're all lined up, and it looks like we're going to go green. Dylan Lupton is the race leader. Last pitted at lap 165. He didn't come here and get service. That has trapped a lot of guys a lap down who were running up front. Daniel Hemrick is 19th. First car 1 lap down. Justin Allgaier 20th. He too is in the 1 lap down category. Ben Kennedy is there. Matt Tiff, Cole Custer, Brendan Gaughan, Blake Cook, Brandon Jones. These are all drivers that were running in or right around the top 10 when we got the caution, but they had already made their green flag pit stop, and that's why Dylan Lupton is staying out here. If he pits, those guys can take the wave around. He stays out, they can't. He gets another caution, he'll be in great shape.
That's absolutely correct, and he's doing the best thing for his team to get the best possible result. As it sits right now, at worst case, he's going to fall behind all these guys that just put the fresh tires on, but he's got the rest of these guys now trapped, and he really did a lot of these guys that are racing around him a favor right now.
And if we get another caution, all those guys back there, they'll never get the wave around because they have to line up behind all the lead lap cars.
Well, and let's not forget, somebody like William Byron is not coming back to pit road tonight. He's going to be out front.
There'll be no more wave arounds tonight.
Absolutely.
Lupton's leading, but the guy in the catbird seat is William Byron, who came down here under caution, got his 4 tires. He will restart in the 2nd position. You see him lined up on the inside here. Ryan Sieg, Dakota Armstrong will share row 2. Michael Annett, who's played the strategy game, will restart 5th. Ross Chastain is up there, Jeremy Clements, and Tyler Reddick complete the top 4 rows. We're going green with 21 laps to go.
Reddick is the only guy that's had any speed right now other than William Byron up in the top 10.
And he actually was on pit road, drove through the pit lane when the caution came out. Byron jumps to the lead on the restart.
See Reddick already up to the 4th spot, trying to get to the outside of Dakota Armstrong for 3rd. Look at him, 4 wide.
Wide on. Garrett Smithley getting knocked around. The 51 of Jeremy Clements is there. Here comes Ben Kennedy in the outside lane, but Kennedy is 1 lap down. Some of these guys on fresher tires might get up there and put themselves in position for the free pass, and that's going to be a great battle.
Brennan way up the racetrack, saved it. I'll be shocked if we don't have another caution here in the next few laps.
Look at Lupton falling back. He's already back to 10th. We've only been green for 2 laps.
Yeah, and he's just holding on right now. He's got his car on the high side, hoping everybody goes to the bottom and just letting him go, essentially.
19 laps to go. Battle for the free pass right now between the 7 of Allgaier, the 21 of Hemrick. They just came through your screen there.
Three wide racing all the way back through the pack.
Here's a look at what happened to Brendan Gaughan. Look at Custer.
0-0 and the 46 made contact. Brendan had to move up the racetrack to give Cole some room. Did a nice job saving that car.
Ryan Sieg is 2nd right now. Tyler Reddick, you mentioned his name, has gotten back up to 3rd. You know, William Byron has not been able to drive away from Sieg, with 17 remaining.
Ryan Sieg doing an awesome. 16's in the wall. That's going to bring out a caution.
Justin Allgaier, 19th. Allgaier 19th, first car 1 lap down. He'll get the free pass.
We heard Ryan Reed say something broke in the right front. Looks like he's got a left front problem as well right now.
So now if you're Dylan Lupton.
Pretty sure we're done here.
You're Dylan Lupton.
Come down pit road, get 4
your
tires.
tires.
Yeah. We still kept all those guys a lap down, with the exception of Allgaier.
And I say they come and get tires. That is, if they still have a set remaining, depending on if they changed them at lap 165. We'll follow up there.
Justin Allgaier happy to get the lucky dog right here. Unfortunately for him, he's going to restart this race probably somewhere around 18th. Actually, worse than that, he's going to be 18th positionally on the racetrack. He's going to have to start behind all these lap down cars, though, so really not a big benefit to him unless he gets another caution. Even then, he's got to pass 18 cars to try and win the race.
And all these guys up here, they've already gotten their service. They're not going to pit, so no one going to be able to take the wave around here.
Exactly. We heard Ryan Reed say something broke in the right front. You can tell right there was some sort of an issue. either with the right front or the left front. The left front is flat now.
I have to believe maybe it was the left front. He just misdiagnosed it a little bit right there with that tire being flat like it was. Possibly a little contact. We saw a lot of beating and banging. As we've talked about earlier in the night, that can knock the valve stem off and result in that.
And he was involved in that incident, too, that brought out the previous caution.
15 laps to go. William Byron last week, heartbroken at Michigan. Perhaps his victory opportunity comes tonight, Vince.
Well, certainly did catch a good break there at the timing of that yellow, Dave. But what do you need from your young driver now in these final laps to close the deal for his first win?
Yeah, we definitely got a huge break the way the caution fell right there. He just needs to execute, do his job like he's been doing all night, and we should be fine.
I know it was pretty loose before you tightened up there and made that track bar adjustment. Do you feel like you've given him the security he needs?
Yeah, we got the car where it needs to be for him. It was a little bit off, but that pit stop, we got the track bar down. He'll be fine to the end.
Thanks, Dave. Adam?
Vince, it's been a wild night here at Iowa. The racing's been outstanding, and there's nothing more confusing for the guys on the NASCAR side or for us on the TV side or those on the team side than a caution that comes out right in the middle of a cycle of green flag pit stops. But it has put some drivers in great position here as we close on 10 remaining.
Yeah, a guy like Ryan Sieg, you get excited for them. Dakota Armstrong, this is going to be pretty close to a career best finish for him if it isn't, if he can keep it up there. Michael Annett, his hometown race and his birthday this weekend as well.
How about Garrett Smithley up in the top 10 running in the 8th spot? Tommy Joe Martin's in the 10th spot in that 78 car.
So
see sticker tires. Is it sticker tires?
It doesn't look like stickers to me.
Looks like used tires.
Yep.
But obviously a little fresher than what they had on there.
Yeah, a little bit fresher tires, and colder tires will help him out just a little bit there.
But he's likely going to restart 18th, somewhere in that neighborhood. Should be able to drive into the top 15. And when you talk about managing a day for a team like JGL, it's going to be solid for Dylan Lupton. And as Regan said, his teammate Dakota Armstrong is up in the top 5. When's the last time you could add those two teams' finishes together and be under 20? I mean, it's an impressive evening for them.
Yeah, solid night for those guys.
Yeah, and to follow up on Dave Ellens for a minute there, we talked about them catching a break, but he had to make the call to stay out there and risk running out of fuel a little bit longer like he did. And so many times when we start pit sequences under green, we get a caution because something happens, whether it's somebody messing up getting on pit road or something happening getting off of pit road. This was a little different situation, but ultimately he made the call to stay out there and risk that. So he put himself in that situation to potentially leapfrog everybody.
Do you think Dave maybe felt like that was a mid-year Christmas present when that caution came out?
There's a reason why he was smiling like he was on that pit box.
Saw Christopher Bell on pit road. He might have an opportunity late here too if they can repair that damage. Bell driving the 20 tonight. Last week it was Denny Hamlin. And Hamlin going after it on the final lap. There's Byron in the 9. A little contact as they come off turn 4. And by that much, that equals 12 1/1000ths of a second. It was the closest finish ever for Xfinity teams at Michigan. Big win for Denny Hamlin. And I said the heartbreak, but it's got to have motivated William Byron, who's been outstanding all weekend here. And because of the way things have worked out, he's in position to get the checkered flag.
But how about the way he handled that interview and that disappointment after the race? Just a classy young man.
We've seen him in that situation a few times now when we think back to last year and losing the opportunity to race for the championship at Homestead at Phoenix. He had the maturity back then. He had it again last week, and we'll see if he's got a fast enough race car to hold these guys off, which we all think that he does, and no problems happen. It'll pay off here in a little while.
We'll go green with 11 laps remaining. Let me give you the top 10. I wish I'd bet this in Vegas, all right? William Byron leading. Not a huge surprise. Ryan Sieg is second. Then it's Dakota Armstrong, Tyler Reddick, Michael Annett. Now listen to this. 6th, Ross Chastain. 7th, Jeremy Clements. 8th, Garrett Smithley. J.J. Yaley is 9th. And Tommy Joe Martin's going to restart in the 10th position. We might have half of the guys in the top 10 that get a career best finish here tonight.
And we talked about how a lot of these Xfinity teams looked at this as an opportunity race. One way or another, it doesn't matter how that opportunity presents itself. It has presented itself, and it could pay big dividends for a lot of these guys you just talked about.
Elliott Sadler going to restart 11th, and now we've heard they're going to add a lap, so we'll only have 10 laps remaining. Elliott Sadler restarting 11th, could work his way back into the top 10 and make something up out of that issue that they had when they made that pit stop. And then go back to Christopher Bell in 18th. I don't know how beat up that race car is, but he had all those penalties, had to start at the tail on that last restart. He's now truly 18th and might be able to gain some position.
Yeah, I think he'll gain some position. Whether he can get all the way up to the top 10 with the limited amount of laps left, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we see a lot of damage to the nose of that car. There were holes in the nose of that car. What they've done is put Barabond over those holes, but we don't know if it's knocked that splitter down perhaps. Maybe that's going to drag on the racetrack and create some problems for him. Be tough for him to get up there and contend for a top 5, but possibly a top 10 here.
We've gone past our window, so if you've tuned in for the FIFA Confederations Cup tonight, it's next on FS1 when we're all done in Newton, Iowa. It's the 14th race of the year for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Going to be 10 laps to go. We'll have a little shootout here with William Byron, Ryan Sieg up front, Tyler Reddick, Dakota Armstrong are there, Michael Annett, Ross Chastain in row 3. It's been a fun evening. Outstanding racing from the green flag. And now an opportunity for someone to get their first career victory.
Green flag, green flag, green flag.
Ryan Sieg is not done yet. He says, I'm going to stick it down here and see if it'll work coming up off of the corner. He's going to try and battle William Byron into turn 3 here.
Keep an eye on the 42 of Reddick. He's had some speed here tonight.
Think about last couple of weeks in the Camping World Truck Series, John Hunter Nemechek winning and what it's meant for that underfunded team. How big would it be for Ryan Sieg to pull the upset here tonight? Drifting now with 9 to go. Reddick is there. The battle for second is on.
I think Ryan Sieg may make Tyler Reddick go down to the bottom to try to get by him.
I saw Ryan's dad Rod in the garage today. He jokingly said, I'll see you in victory lane. There was sarcasm. He never would have believed they'd be running second with now 8 laps to go. If Byron has a problem, he could be there to pounce.
And he's not letting Byron get away from him. He's staying up there now that he's got the track position with that car. He's a guy we talked about earlier in the night. He does so much for a smaller team, and he's really showing us why.
Every driver in the top 10 looking for their first career win. That was true till Elliott Sadler got around Quinn Houff.
Elliott right in the middle there. That's Matt Tift looking for another good run. That 19 car on the bottom.
And actually, Phil, he's one of those drivers a lap down, so he's back in 22nd.
Justin Allgaier trying to make his way up just outside the top 10 now after getting the free pass. Now he's going to take over the 10th spot, getting by the 78 of Tommy Joe Martins.
He wants a couple of more spots and then a caution to tighten things back up.
Yeah, and let's not forget either, Elliott Sadler's down a cylinder, so he's doing everything he can to hold on to this top 10 position with less horsepower.
Going to be 5 laps to go for William Byron. 7/10 of a second in front of Ryan Sieg, and here are his teammates going at it for position 1, 2 in points.
I don't know, somehow Elliott Sadler's found that cylinder on the racetrack. He went down the straightaway dead even with his teammate Justin Allgaier.
It didn't look too bad right there, did it? He might be making a fool out of me, but nonetheless, those guys are battling hard for that position.
Battle for the free pass right there. The 2 of Ben Kennedy, the 21 of Daniel Hemrick.
Had a smoker there into turn 1. That could play a role on if we get a late caution. 4 laps to go. Kennedy and Hemrick racing for the free pass spot. They're 20th and 21st on track.
Ryan Sieg's best career finish coming in here was a 3rd at Daytona a few years ago. Still holds down that 2nd spot. Here at Smithley, that's a battle for a top 10 spot right there.
Had a top 10 did Garrett to open the season at Daytona, trying for another here tonight. 3 laps to go for Byron as he's come back around to the start-finish line, and behind him, this is for second. 39 of Ryan Sieg, 42 of Tyler Reddick.
Ryan has done a great job holding on to that 2nd spot.
He absolutely has. I can't tell you how impressed I am with him when he did get up there and get that track position. These guys are not far back from William Byron. We know how good Byron has been all night long. Good to see both of these guys having a nice run.
Sieg has been really good since the restart, and they're battling behind William Byron. We will see the white flag this time. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Right now, he just needs to get this race car back around. He's so nervous. He knows how close he is to his first win at this moment.
Halfway down the back straightaway for William Byron. 1 week ago, had his heart broken at Michigan. Tonight, it's going to be all about a celebration. Career win #1 for William Byron comes at Iowa.
You are awesome. Thank you very much.
What a night for William Byron.
Nothing like your first win. You know how excited he's got to be in that race car, and I can't wait to see the celebration. You always love to see a first-time winner. We talked about at the beginning of the day how this was an opportunity race for these guys to take advantage of. He did just that tonight.
Riggin, he came here in a K&N car his championship season, won the race. He came here in a truck last year, won the race, and now he's won in the Xfinity Series.
Second driver to get their first career victory at Iowa Speedway. The other, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. In 2011, he went on to win the championship.
Well, I'll promise you this, these guys are, they're not thinking about anything other than this celebration tonight. But come tomorrow morning, they'll hear that stat and they'll be really excited. They'll think that that's a good omen going forward the rest of the year.
And they're qualified for the playoffs.
We set off the top. Tonight was the land of opportunity for the series regulars. Byron top 5 in stage 1 and stage 2. But when the money was on the line and a position in the postseason was there, he went and got it. And now he can celebrate. I think about Kyle Larson, who nearly won at Dover last spring. Dogging Matt Kenseth, would not rough him up to go get the victory. He said, I want to win my way. Last week, William Byron loses that close one at Michigan. You said it, Phil. He handled it like a pro. And now tonight, it's got to make the celebration feel so good. Top 5 tonight, Byron, Ryan Sieg, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Dakota Armstrong, all of them getting their career best finish.
Summit Motorsports Park track records were destroyed in both Nitro categories during NHRA qualifying action Friday. In funny car, it was Matt Hagan in the Express Lane Dodge. While in top fuel, it was Doug Coletta with enough Mack tools to claim the top spot. But the feel-good story continues to be Clay Millican. A smile that's been in place for nearly 2 decades is now officially a winning one after besting the field in Bristol. It's NHRA drag racing from Ohio tonight, midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific.
And our qualifying coverage of the Summit Nationals been moved to 12:30 Eastern time as we've gone a little late here in Iowa, but it was worth the wait. William Byron gets his first career win. Ryan Sieg second tonight, Hermie.
I tell you, this is a lot of fun. This team always seems to overachieve. Less than 5 full-time employees. So true story. I come down pit road, 5 to go. I want to talk to the crew chief. They said, well, he's spotting. You can't get to him right now. But great effort for your team. Congratulations. Talk about those last couple laps battling for that second place with the 42.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was it was surreal. It was crazy, you know what I mean? I just can't thank everybody enough. Bruce and Cowboy, they work hard, and the Ritchie Chevrolet car, they came on board, and it's amazing. It was crazy when I was driving around. I was like, I can't believe we're second, but it's really awesome. That was a lot of fun racing with Tyler there and trying to race for the win. Just can't thank everybody enough.
Great effort by Ryan Sieg in the 39. A lot of fun tonight. Caitlin?
Well, Tyler Reddick earned a top 5 performance tonight, but telling me you are disappointed. What were your takeaways from this race this evening?
Well, Caitlin, we had a car that could really roll the center good, but I just couldn't get back the throttle, and unfortunately, that's where I was getting ate up most of the night. Really couldn't make passes on the bottom or anywhere because just couldn't get off the corners, but just really got to thank Broken Bow Records, Beaver Music Group, Enos, Parker Store, Chevrolet, and Xfinity for their partnership with NASCAR. It's really cool to be able to race here at Iowa under the lights. It was really cool to see the racetrack really open up, but we had the 4 fresh tires, and I just feel like we should have came away with the victory there. We had the odds were in our favor, and I just wish on that last restart we would have been on the outside and may have had a shot, but I just couldn't get anything going on the bottom, and I feel like we gave one away here. It's going to be a tough one to swallow.
Thank you. Tyler Reddick leaving Iowa with the top 5. Now let's go to Vince in Victory Lane.
Last week, William Byron was kept out of victory lane by 12 thousandths of a second, but no such decimal points tonight. Great to get a call from Rick Hendrick as you win your first one. How good's it feel to close the door and get your first Xfinity Series win tonight?
Man, it feels awesome. It's thank you, Mr. H, for giving me this opportunity. It's so cool to run full time in the series. Everything's come full circle for me. I raced late models for JRM a few years ago, and I remember LW telling me he wanted to see me in an Xfinity car. So just to see it all come to fruition now and have a victory is really awesome. And I think we had a first or second place car. We got a little bit loose one run, and then we got back on cycle there at the end and was able to take off. So really proud of these guys, Dave. Everyone on the Exalta team. Thanks Exalta for being on the car, Windsor as well, so it's really cool.
Well done, young man. William Byron, 19 years old, the Xfinity Series winner at Iowa.
I tell you, we've got a fun top 5 tonight. Ross Chastain, good effort for your race team. It came down to a little bit of pit strategy and some final restarts. Walk us through those last couple of restarts for you. How were you able to get this car in the top 5?
That's still a good question. I know there was a lot of circumstances, and the top 5 is a little different than what anybody thought. And on lap 20, I would have put a lot of money on we wouldn't be there. So my guys kept swinging at it and swinging changes into this thing all night. And I led us down the wrong road a couple times, and we got it back. And you know, it's just a testament to the 4-car and what we do and what these short tracks can do for us. We got Georgia watermelon on the car. And all your watermelons right now in your stores are coming from Georgia. So go celebrate and pick up a watermelon tomorrow to celebrate with us. We're going to be doing some cool stuff coming up. So it's just good momentum going into the summer months here. This time last year we were kind of stumbling, so good to have that turned around this year. You know, and those final restarts, you never know what to do till you're there. I had my teammate lined up behind me, so I knew we wouldn't get put 3 wide or nothing going into one. And from there, we just singled out and we got to run around the top and worked on the 28 car, which was big for me to beat him. Don't get me wrong. Definitely want to beat that car, and that was good to pass him there with a couple laps to go. So watermelons in the top 5 feels good, and we're going to go home and celebrate.
That's Ross Chastain. Caitlin?
Dakota Armstrong also earning a top 5 here at Iowa, saying you're really happy with this performance. How was your team able to execute all night and get you this finish?
Yeah, we actually had a really fast Winfield United Toyota all night. Qualified 7th. We had a flat left rear going into the race and had to start the rear. So we were playing the strategy game right from the beginning. Car was actually, I thought, a top 10 car all night. We just couldn't get the track position. We got it there at the end, but we actually didn't have new tires in the end there. We had like 20 lap scuffs. So if we'd had new tires, I thought we had a good enough car to finish second there, but still a great job for the guys to recover from all that and get a good top 5. Good points day for us.
Nice job. Thank you.
14th race of the year. We begin the second half of the regular season, and William Byron becomes the 3rd Xfinity regular to do this. The winner sticker. He's got some playoff points, and he's qualified for the postseason.
That's a great feeling for him to put that sticker on the race car. A little bit of relief now for the rest of the season. Yes, they knew they were going to be in the playoffs based on where they are in points, but now they can really focus on getting those playoff points and taking the opportunity to see it all the rest of the way through to Homestead.
That was cool.
Yeah, Rudy Fugle, his crew chief last year in the Truck Series, come over to congratulate William Byron. I love that young man. I love the fact that he got to victory lane. We knew he was going to get there, but I love the entire top 10. You know, we've got Garrett Smithley down in 10th. We have Jeremy Clements with a 7th place finish.
A lot of guys that this is going to mean a lot to their seasons going forward. This is something that they can go and be proud of and say, hey, look, we had a great run at Iowa, and they had to hold off some good cars. We see Sadler and Allgaier here in 8th and 9th. These guys were all battling through here. Shane Sieg did a heck of a job battling Tyler Reddick at the end of that race.
Well, it was a solid effort, and you look at the top 5, all of them got their career best finish here tonight at Iowa. And the fun, it's just beginning on FS1 this weekend. We roll into Northern California tomorrow. The Toyota Save-Mart 350 for the Monster Energy Series. Coverage begins on FS1 at 1:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget, if you didn't get your racing fix, 1 hour from now, it's qualifying for the NHRA Summit Nationals on FS1. Next, it's the FIFA Confederations Cup. It's starting now. Congratulations to William Byron. First career win comes at Iowa in the Xfinity Series.